For over 3 decades, one engine ruled the waters. The shriek of the Mercury 2.5-liter V6 two-stroke became the soundtrack of speed, precision, and dominance. From dock to podium, the two-stroke was king. But time waits for no legend. In 2025, the tides are shifting. Enter the Mercury APX 250, a 4.6-liter V8 four-stroke powerhouse built for a new era of dominance. With a series victory in 2024, is change already racing ahead? Will the veteran two-stroke reclaim its crown? Or is this the dawn of a new dynasty? As the battle at the top evolves, the action across the series is just as fierce. From the Texas Tri-Hulls, where raw grit meets unpredictable water warfare, to the Formula Lights, where the next generation of champions cut their teeth. And of course, the Formula Ones, 120-mile-an-hour ballet of precision and nerve, where the boats fly, the stakes are high, and only the bold survive. This is more than a championship. It's a revolution on water. This is the 2025 Formula One Powerboat Championship Series.
And good afternoon, race fans from wherever you are across the world. Beautiful Highlands, Texas, here for the final round of the 2025 Formula One Powerboat Championship Series here at the battle on the San Jacinto as we get things kicked off here in the final race day of 2025. We're going to start things off like we do at all of our races here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. So if I could please have everybody rise, remove your cap for the singing of our national anthem here at the final race of 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, to sing our Stars and Stripes, none other than Formula One Powerboat Championship Series own Brooke Karras. Brooke, take it away.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Are you ready? Let's go racing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're ready to kick things off here for the final day of racing here on the 2025 calendar. As we're here in beautiful Highlands, Texas, we're going to kick things off with the final qualifying heat in the Formula Lights class. These two-cylinder OMC 45 cubic inch outboards on the back of these 14-foot long tunnel hulls are going to be pushing speeds in excess of 70 miles an hour here on the San Jacinto River. We saw some fantastic racing yesterday that saw the 35 of Mark Schmierbach take both heats on Saturday's qualifying. Can he make it a clean sweep of qualifying and extend his lead over the driver that's the hard charger from Santa Rosa Valley, California, the 12 of Shelby Love, as she tries to push for her first series championship here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. What a great day of racing. Beautiful weather here in South Texas, just east of Houston, right off of I-10, about a half hour, 40 minutes from downtown Houston, beautiful Highlands, Texas. We got the whole team here with Tim Siebold, myself, as well as Kay Myers. Kay spent most of the time here in the pits at the 2025 Battle on the San Jacinto. Boy, Kay, you had some really fun conversations. Sounds like we're going to have a fantastic day of racing, and hopefully you get a lot more of those awesome sound bites from our drivers here on the final day of racing in 2025.
Yes, I would say that those gremlins were definitely roaming around the pits yesterday, but those gremlins were chased out because we saw all of our crew members working together, different teams working together to help their teammates and help their competitors get out onto the course. We saw the Fleming group, they were having issues with the bottom of the boat, and we saw that boat sitting over there at Jensen's. Jensen's also were helping out with Travis Thompson to get his Formula Light out here. It is so fun to see, and just the beauty and the family camaraderie that happens here every single weekend.
Absolutely, and if you saw a little bit different there, and out here on the front of the race course here, you see these beautiful vintage boats. Some of these boats have run in numerous classes, from V-bottom to tunnel boat classes. You see some of the older style shovel nose, like that bright yellow shovel nose tunnel boat. Actually, one of the original tunnel boats that was ever designed by Renato Molinari is out on the course as well, as we wanted to showcase these beautiful vintage boats, as the history of boat racing allows us to remember where we came from to ensure that we carry on the legacy that brought us here to 2025. And Kay, how beautiful it is to see some of those fantastic old boats, like that Ted Jones Bacardi Rum 547. That thing, it blows my mind that guys used to run at 125 plus miles an hour with no cockpit, with no safety straps, and boy, what a long way boat racing and safety has come here in 2025.
I mean, and it just keeps growing because these boats are getting faster, and so they're working hard to make sure that they're safer. But you just mentioned about how we're seeing these boats from different eras and different classes out here. What I noticed was when they came over towards the pits and all those helmets popped off, all of our drivers that are racing this weekend are inside the cockpit of these boats, and that's what's fun, is just bringing the generation after generation after generation. In American Powerboat Association, I am now starting to announce fifth generation drivers are out here on the course, and check out the 547. I think they're having a little bit of fun, but you know what ride I want to go in? That's going to be the 888, because that thing is loud and proud.
Yeah, that's that old shovel nose Molinari, one of the original, if not the original tunnel boat design that was the birth of tunnel boat racing back in the 1950s or 60s. It's been fantastic to see the growth, the evolution. Now we're talking about infused carbon fiber cells, Hans devices. These boats no longer being made out of okumi and some of the other woods that we used for so many years. The strength, the durability of the machines today, and interesting to hear later. Hopefully, you get a chance to talk to some of the guys about maybe a bit of a different perspective at running in in an old wood boat that's been 40, 50 years old, and how different it feels out on the water versus their carbon fiber and composite Formula Ones they're running here in 2025.
Well, they're also running with an open cockpit, so a lot of these drivers, they're youngins. They've only known the closed cockpit, so they're used to being enclosed, and now they're sitting out here doing speeds of about 50, 60, running around this course with an open cockpit, air blowing right through right through the helmets, and I'm sure they're actually liking that because it's getting a little warm here in Highlands.
Absolutely. They're going to be definitely a lot cooler in those open cockpits than they ever are going to be inside those fully carbon fiber enclosed cells that they have in their Formula One boats today. Right on. And let's talk a little bit about what the first class we got coming up here, the Formula Lights on the water. Hey, everybody, how you doing? From wherever you are across the world, if you're here in Highlands, thanks so much for joining us. If you're enjoying it on our YouTube channel, wherever you are across the world, thanks so much for being here for the final race of the 2025 season. Formula Lights, boy, it was a two-horse race coming in. The 35 of Mark Schmierbach did exactly what he needed to do to create a little bit more separation between him and the 12 of Shelby Love. That 35 B&B Pizza Inn sponsored machine was scary fast in Formula Lights yesterday.
Yes, and I talked to Shelby about that. I said, hey, you're sitting in second place, but you're so close. And she's like, I'm right there. She goes, I said, you know what I need to see? I need to see what we are now going to call the Shelby Love move. And we've seen this a few times throughout the season where she just sits right on his back corner, on Mark Schmierbach's back corner, waits for him to open the door, and she lets herself in. She has become one heck of a driver, a third-generation driver herself, born and raised around racing. But, you've got 35 plus years veteran driving when he comes to Mark Schmierbach. So
Absolutely.
2 really good drivers out there, and it's going to be interesting to see how the end of the season flows out.
Yeah, and don't forget the 26 Mike Scott Plumbing of Jose Mendaña Jr. That's a brand new boat built by his father, Jose Mendaña Sr., and so it's the first time in the boat. So, yeah, he told me he had 8 laps in that boat before he came here to Highlands. So yesterday, considering he has had almost zero time in that boat, finishing a respectable 3rd overall in qualifying heats 1 and 2, he's in a solid position because the Mendana Enterprises and Mike Scott Plumbing Racing Team was tinkering and working with that boat to really dial that thing in for today, as well as the rookie, the 60 of Brandon Bobolic, having a fantastic 2025 season. And then you got to watch out for the likes of Jake McKee and the 30 of Ashton Caffarelli. Some of these, Jake coming from the West Coast, been running Formula Lights regionally out there, now stepping onto the national scene in 2025. Ashton Caffarelli, like a lot of guys have, making that step over from stock outboard into tunnel boat racing in the Formula Lights. We're going to have an exciting race here in Formula Lights.
And I want to say this has probably been our biggest fleet of the season in our Formula Light. So the competition is just huge. Looking back at yesterday's Heat 2, when they got off of the dock, it was a cluster going down into Turn 1. And Bobolic just squeezed right through the middle of that. And then here comes Mark Schmierbach right on his outside. 2 teammates going side by side. That was some good racing. But I would have to say the final heat of yesterday with the 45s was really close. But the Tri-Halls, they gave us a race too. So we got a lot of racing. We're getting ready for our hot lap right now with our Formula Lights.
Absolutely. So they're going to get these two-cylinder 45 cubic inch OMCs primed and ready to go. They're going to get a 1 hot lap around this 4-pin race course here on the San Jacinto River, and we're going to line them up for the first modified Le Mans start of the day. Again, for those of you joining us for the first time here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series, what is a modified Le Mans start? Well, unlike in Formula One car racing where they have the motor in neutral, we don't have gears. So we have to have these drivers with 0 power going to the power plant or the motor on the back of that boat. So the boat is completely shut off, and we start at 1 minute. You're going to hear a 1-minute gun go off. It's a big, bright orange flare. We're going to count down in 10-second increments. Once we get to 20 seconds, we're going to go under starters' orders. And that's when you're going to see that flag go up. It's a big, bright orange flag held on one of our rescue boats that's on the course. When the starter chooses to, they will drop that flag, and you're going to see these boats come firing off the dock. And boy, here on these tight confines of the San Jacinto River, the start is even more important than it has been at other races. Whoever can get to that first pin is going to have that clear water and a really good shot at capturing qualifying heat number 3.
Exactly, and what you just talked about, that once the flag drops, that's when they can go. Unfortunately, yesterday, so we saw one of our rookie drivers, Jake McKee, got a little bit trigger happy yesterday, and so when you do leave the dock before the flag does drop, you are pushed to the very back of the line. That was an unfortunate thing. Right now we're showing on our YouTube channel of the F1 Powerboat Championship. We're seeing Travis Thompson right here in the number 2. Gremlins were running around there yesterday, and I asked him this morning, I said, how you feeling? He says, I'm feeling good. I got some really good help. I borrowed some equipment, got this thing rolling. So that's going to be one to keep an eye on. He, over the years, has taken a lot of checkered flags, and he's got his eye on the one for here at Highlands, Texas.
Absolutely. I talked to his father yesterday, and he goes, I swear in 2025, if we didn't have bad luck, we would have no luck at all. And hopefully the tides are changing for the driver out of Humboldt, Texas, in that number 2 Texas decorated red, white, and blues with the big Texas star right on the nose there with the 2 of Travis Thompson.
And that boat just got its repairs completed. I went over and they were showing me
Marble Falls.
Yes, and he showed me some pictures. That thing was down to even some of the frames they had to replace. So that thing is basically a brand new boat to him, and it's good to see him back out here, Travis Thompson. I'm really hoping that those gremlins are gone and you're going to be able to take that checkered flag. Can't wait to interview that kid.
Absolutely. All righty, well, we're getting the rest of the field lined up here for the opening heat here on the final day of racing in 2025. We're going to send Kay down to the pits so she can make sure to get all the fantastic interviews with our drivers throughout the entire day, get that insight of what it's like for the drivers here as they fight for titles, they fight for points, they fight for championships here at the final round of 2025. As we get the last few boats lined up here, joining me now, the man that's going to be joining me all afternoon long, none other than the legendary Tim Siebold. Boy, Tim, you had a busy day this morning. We had a bunch of race ride experiences going on. And how about having all those vintage boats out on the water with you for our opening ceremonies? That's got to be cool to see some of those old boats out there. Some of those boats that you probably remember from your childhood.
Oh, for sure. The Bacardi boat, and then we've got a replica of my dad's number 7. So, it's a lot of cool stuff out here. The Bobby Herring's boat, I raced with him when I was 16 years old. So it was fantastic to see these things and the Glastron with the OMCs, and then Bob's old Molinary. That was by everybody's recollection, that was the first tunnel boat brought into the U.S.
Yeah, and it's interesting that old-style shovel nose like we used to see in the hydros
conventional.
As well. Yeah, that really kind of shovel nose. They didn't get into the pickle fork design until later. Was that for aerodynamic purposes and the ability to just get better performance out of the boat?
They did that so that way they started blowing them over, and because the speeds were picking up.
Oh, okay.
So on some of these boats, in the late 60s, early 70s, they didn't have power trim. You actually pumped it up with a pump while you're driving it, and the way you trimmed it in is you would release the valve and let the motors come in. So it's crazy how far it's come.
Yeah, absolutely. Kay and I were talking about that while you were out on the water running the race ride experience and being a part of the opening ceremonies. But let's talk about the Formula Lights are on the water here. We've got a bunch of great drivers out there. We're doing that reverse order of finish here from qualifying heats 1 and 2, and that's going to find the likes of Shelby Love and Mark Schmierbach are going to have to come from the back of the pack. And with the likes of Travis Thompson, some of those drivers having some time to maybe fix some of the gremlins yesterday, I have a feeling it's going to be a drag race down to that first corner.
Well, and that's for sure, because in between the heat races on Saturday, there's no time really to work on it. So I know Travis, the number 2, Travis Thompson, he actually borrowed a motor last night, a powerhead, from Mark Schmierbach. So these guys are tight. J.B. Jensen, he had a broken throttle cable, so they got that fixed last night. And on down the line, your 2 front runners for the championship in Shelby and Mark, this is not an unusual position for them.
No, they're used to coming from the back on Sunday
field.
morning.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and we've got them just about everybody lined up. Let's take a look at our starting lineup here for the third and final Formula Lights heat. On the pole, reverse order of points collected from yesterday with those gremlins popping up on the pole, the 2 of Travis Thompson. Coming second off the start dock out of Windsor, Colorado, running for Island Lake Marine, the number 93 of J.B. Jensen. And then it's the Santa Fe, Texas native, the 17 of Chris Hughes, starting third off the start pontoon. And then it's the 78 of Marshall Gildermaster, who calls San Antonio home. Followed by him is the rookie here in 2025, another addition to that ever-growing Rinker racing team, the gentleman out of Tennessee, the number 52 of Addison Dumford. 6 off the start dock is the driver from for the Redlands, California, in that 01 machine, Mr. Jake McKee. Right behind McKee, coming 7th off the start dock, one half of the B&B racing team. That is the number 60, a rookie as well here in 2025, of Brandon Bobolick. Behind Bobolick, coming 8th off the dock, the 26, they call him the Tampa Terror, running for Mike Scott Plumbing, Mr. Jose Mendana Jr. 9th off the start pontoon, number 30 of Ashton Caffarelli, followed by the number 12 of Shelby Love, and the 35 of Mark Schmierbach, with the 8 of Jack Schubert and the 1 of Carissa Saddle. And how about Carissa Saddle yesterday? First time ever in a Formula Lights boat, and I got to say, pretty impressive getting the opportunity here on Sunday to start with the rest of the pack on the start dock. Got to be an exciting day for that young woman, Tim.
She's very excited. Last night we were talking in the pits, so she can't wait to start with everybody.
All right, coming up on the 1-minute gun. Let's get rolling here on Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, as we look to set the starting grid for our Formula Lights final later on today. 1-minute drivers, 1 minute. Can the 2 of Travis Thompson with that brand new power head on the back find that luck that he's been looking for here in 2025 and come off the dock like a rocket? 50 seconds, drivers, 50 seconds. J.B. Jensen running Tri-Hull and Formula Lights. Won a Tri-Hull heat yesterday. Can he win a Formula Lights heat today? 40 seconds, drivers, 40 seconds. Or will the 17 of Chris Hughes get off the dock well here in qualifying heat number 3 and find his way to a checkered flag here in the final qualifying heat in Formula Lights? 30 seconds, drivers, 30 seconds. Or could we see the likes of Ashton Caffarelli, Jose Mendana Jr., or Mark Schmierbach and Shelby Love come all the way from the backside to grab this final qualifying heat in Formula Lights? 20 seconds, drivers, you're under. Starters orders, a flag is up. He drops that flag. Oh, no, the 93 of J.B. Jensen, the 78 of Marshall Gildermaster, and the 01 of Jake McKee don't get a very good start. But a great run there for the 17 of Chris Hughes as he goes side by side with the 2 of Travis Thompson down the front stretch. Oh, no, the 35. That's right. We had a second flag.
Second flag.
So,
Mark was on the second flag, which is a huge advantage for Shelby. Let's see if she can capitalize. Stay on the outside and pick them off.
All right, as they come out of turns 3 and 4, now they're going to start lap 1 of this 6 minutes plus 1 lap. Qualifying heat here in Formula Lights. Look at McKee. Oh, boy, he goes through the rooster tail. He almost took off the backside of the 2 of Travis Thompson there, Tim. Boy, they are getting dicey early here in Formula Lights.
He is. Travis left him some room in there, and Jake just didn't turn it. So he's newer to the class on the national circuit. So it just takes a little bit for him to get acclimated with some of these drivers, but he is definitely rolling on the outside.
Absolutely. Now it looks like he's going to get by the 2 of Travis Thompson. On lap 1, we've got a new leader, ladies and gentlemen, the young driver out of the Redlands, California. And that 01 Revolution-built Formula Light is out in front, followed by the 2 of Travis Thompson. And it looks like there, the 21 of Mendana Jr. has really done a great job of making his way through the pack. What's really surprising now is the 12 of Shelby Love still sitting back there, mired in 10th place in this Formula Lights qualifying heat here. Really surprised she hasn't made up that ground early.
It is, and Mark's ahead of her now. So she half spun it there in turn 3, but, she's got to settle down a little bit. She's got to pick these guys off. She's going to be running in rougher water, but Mark just went through the pack right up the inside. Wily veteran.
Absolutely. He knew some of those slower boats were probably not going to want to go pin to pin, maybe not as comfortable going to pin. He's like, hey, no problem, guys. I'll take that right off the pin, and he's running that thing all the way up into 5th place right now as he looks to track down the 2 of Travis. No, excuse me, he's up in 4th place looking to hunt down the 2 of Travis Thompson as they go down through the south end of the course and through turns 3 and 4. We still have our head there. We see Ashton Caffarelli trying to pull away from the 52 of Addison Dumford as Dumford comes up on the 17 of Chris Hughes. Oh, no, Travis Thompson goes dead in the water down in turn number 1. The gremlins continue for the young driver out of Humboldt, Texas. That's got to be frustrating.
Oh, it's totally frustrating, especially, you work on it last night. Oh, Shelby spins it out in turn 1.
Oh, no, she looks like she's really pushing that thing hard. And, boy, things have just not panned out so far this weekend, maybe so far the way the 12 of Shelby Love would like it. But right now the young driver out of Redlands, California has got to be real excited as that 01 of Jake McKee is pushing it hard.
I wonder if they raised the motor a little bit last night, trying to close that gap between her and Mark. And as a result, now she can't hold it in the corners because it's a little rough down in 3 and 4. And she spun out in the smooth corner of 1 and 2, number 1. So
yeah, and obviously
they might have went the wrong way
because she's way wide to the outside. So clearly something wrong as she's now the 35 of Mark Schmierbach has put her a lap down. So the 12 of Shelby Love not even on the lead lap right now. As you see there, we stay with the 35 of Mark Schmierbach. He comes off of turn number 2. Now pushing it hard down the back straightaway. He's trying to catch up to the 26 of Jose Mendana Jr., who's trying to hunt down our leader, the 01 of Jake McKee. There you can see the 12 of Shelby Love way wide to the outside, lane 4 or 5, as she tries to make some ground on the 60 of Brandon Bobolic, but very uncharacteristically struggling here in qualifying heat number 3.
Well, the race right now is for 1st and 2nd. So you got Jake and Jose, and they're going toe-to-toe. And Jose has got a ton of experience. He knows how to drive in rough water, and he's just staying right on Jake's outside hip, and he's trying to pressure the rookie into a mistake.
Absolutely. We talked about that yesterday, how important it is to stay on that hip. Now he goes wide to the outside. He's looking for a drag race down to the corner number 1. On the outside, it's Mendana. On the inside, it's McKee as they go down through turn number 1. Now coming off of turn 2, look, Jose gets so tight. You talked about how beautifully he just sat right off that hip outside the corner. Now it's another drag race down the straightaway. This might take a couple of laps. Oh, no, Jake McKee looks like he maybe didn't see Mendana in his mirror there, and they almost got together. Mendana's really trying to push him all over the course. I have a feeling that we're in for a beautiful overtake move potentially here in the next lap or 2.
Well, Jose's going to stay right on the outside and keep pressuring him. In the meantime, you got the teammates of Mark and Brandon, and they're coming up, and, before you know it, 1st and 2nd are going to be Dyson, and these other guys, it allows them to catch up.
Absolutely. As McKee continues to stay tight to the inside, Mendana hanging with that outside line. I would expect at some point we might see the 26 of Mendana fake to the outside and maybe dive underneath one of those types of moves that he's famous for from his long career here in Formula Lights. There we see the 12 of Shelby Love.
He just
out
did it.
of the boat. Oh, no, looks like they might have some damage sustained on the 12 of Shelby Love. She's got to be frustrated. Gloves are off, helmet's off, and her for third and final qualifying heat is done, and that is going to make things very difficult for the young woman from Santa Rosa Valley, California, as she's been hunting for a series championship here in Formula Lights. But we're going to stay with our leaders, the 26 of Mendana, continuing to push hard. But how about this, Tim? The 01 of Jake McKee finding a way to create some separation between him and the veteran from Tampa, Florida.
Jake's come out a little bit, so he's making Jose go the long way around the course, staying on the outside, and Jake goes tight up the inside to the entry of turns 3 and 4, and then swings it out down the front straightaway. Watch him coming out of 4 now. He's letting it come out just a little bit, and that's right where Jose wants to be.
Absolutely. Looks like the one of Carissa Saddles' first qualifying heat here on Sunday might be done as well, as both those Clover Construction boats are pulling out. Not a good final qualifying heat here for Clover Construction in Formula Lights, but right now it's going fantastic for the young driver out of the Redlands, California. Never been in this position before on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series.
White flag.
And I got to say, he's been doing a pretty good job of driving Mendana all over the race course here, as we've got one lap remaining here in this final qualifying heat in Formula Lights.
Jake's withstanding the pressure, and they are, that's it. First heat win.
Ladies and gentlemen, for his first heat win in his young career here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series, your winner from qualifying heat number 3 out of the Redlands, California, number 1, Jake McKee. In second, he fought hard but couldn't find a way around him, the 26 of Jose Mendana Jr., and no surprise, rounding out the top 3, none other than the 35 of Mark Schmierbach. And boy, that lead with Shelby pulling off is growing. It is going to be a tall task to knock that man off the top of the series championship. But again, you can't finish first if you don't first finish. We got to run it all the way to the end and see what happens.
We do. You know, you look at racing on paper, and that's all it is. You still got to race it. So Shelby had a bunch of water in her boat, and that's why she was having a tough times in the turn, because what happens is that water shifts in the boat, and it shifts all the weight in it, and that's why she was spinning out.
Absolutely. Now, I know that there are ribs within the boat that may baffle the water a little bit, but it's still going to slosh around pretty good, especially with, you know, how dynamic and how touchy, right, and how specific you have to be with a tunnel boat.
You know, it's very critical, especially on these 45s. If you have a little bit of weight going front to back, side to side, it just ruins your day.
Yeah, especially, again, we've talked about this before, right? With that small 2-cylinder 45 cubic inch motor, you don't have the power to kind of drive through some of those things that cause that shifting around. I can imagine in a larger Formula One boat, while still detrimental, maybe a little bit easier to handle.
Well, with the 45s, you just can't power through it, you know, and weight's critical. And this class is all about finesse.
Absolutely it is. And, boy, the 01 of Jake McKee finessed his way all around this 4-pin course here in Formula Lights, all the way to victory in the third and final qualifying heat. He's got to be very, very excited. I know I talked to Jose Mendana Jr. yesterday, and him and the 01 of Jake McKee started to get into things yesterday, and I have a feeling that is just ratcheted up a few notches here, because McKee was going inside, going outside. He was pushing the 26 of Mendana all over the race course. He
was making them go the long way around, and staying within the rules when he was doing it. But at the end of the day, you know, he got around him. He stayed in front of him, held up to the pressure. Now, I don't know what the official score, finish order is. So we got to look at that, because Kate's down there with Jose.
Oh, okay. All right. We've got the Kay Myers, our pit reporter. We're going to send her down to chat with the 26 of Jose Mendana Jr.
All right, that was one heck of a run between you and Jake McKee. You just could not get around him.
Yeah, that was a fun race. We all raced each other a little differently. It was a lot of fun. It was really aggressive, and the boat's getting better, man. We came in here blind with this new bad boy, and it's getting every heat. It gets better and better, and we'll be ready for the final.
Brand new boat to you. You've only out testing one other time, and you were starting to get comfortable. Are you going to make any adjustments for the final heat?
Yeah, I mean, every time we put in the water this week and we've made an adjustment and tweak it, it's getting better. rely on the notebook, and it's paying off. So we'll see what we got from him in the final.
All right, coming from the 26 of Mike Scott Plumbing.
All right, Kay. Well, yeah, just got official report from our referees here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. Jake McKee, your original winner, penalized 1 lap for bearing away, Tim. Now, can you give us a little bit more detail? What is bearing away, the penalty that was just assessed on the 01 of Jake McKee?
So bearing away is stopping the progress of the other boat. So you can't change your line to impede the progress of the boat trying to overtake you. So when we saw Jake was going on the inside, pin to pin to pin, and then he started swinging out and running Jose out, that's what he got called on bearing away. And it depends how close the other boat is to you for that to be a penalty or not. So once Jose got side by side with him and they came out and then Jake came over, that's when it becomes a penalty.
Absolutely. Well, it's got to be frustrating for the young driver, but this is what happens, right? You get a new driver, you're getting in a position you've maybe never ever been in before, and you're just trying to do everything you can to stop the guy from getting around you. But, again, you have to understand where that line is between racing and penalty.
You got to find the limits. Just like yesterday, Jake jumped the start, and he was bending the toggle switch down so he didn't have as far to go, and he tripped it. Well, guess what? He's not going to make that mistake again.
No, he won't.
So he was so upset at himself yesterday when that happened, and this is a learning experience for him. Look, he's new. He's coming through. He's doing a great job, and he'll learn from it. He's down there with Kay right now.
All right, we're going to send things back down to our pit reporter, Kay Myers, as she's with the 01 of Jake McKee, the young driver that almost found his first checkered flag here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. Kay?
What a great way to start our Saturday morning racing with one of the closest races we have seen all weekend long. You know, give us your perspective as you were seeing Mendana come on your inside, your outside. How were you able to hold him off that whole race?
Honestly, I just look in my mirrors and he goes one way, I try and go the same way. It's really hard trying to keep a really fast guy behind you. I don't think we're the fastest boat out here, but you just got to do what you can to keep faster guys behind you.
Well, you got your racing career started with the outboard stocks, and you have taken all of those great skills and you've pushed them right here in the Formula Lights. This is like one of your first races of the year having deck-to-deck racing, and you did a wonderful job. You've got a lot of people to thank all the way back to California.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I got to thank the entire McKee Racing crew for giving me a boat to drive. They trust me to drive it and not wreck it. I got to thank Seaway Marine, Bill's Jerky for, being some sponsors on this boat. Most importantly, I got to thank the Clover Construction Racing crew for bringing me up here and giving me the chance to race on a national level. So thank you guys. And one more person. I got to thank Easton. He's been getting in and out of the water all day. He's really a great guy.
He's got a great crew behind him, and he just rewarded him with a checkered flag. First checkered flag for our Formula Lights. Jake McKee at McKee Racing. Thomas?
All right, thanks, Kay. Well, the 01 of Jake McKee might be a little less excited once he finds he was assessed that 1-lap penalty. That's got to be frustrating for the young driver out of Redlands, California. But again, like you said, Tim, he'll definitely not forget what happened and what was the result of that bearing away penalty. And I have a feeling that you're probably going to learn a lot from this situation right here.
He's going to learn every time he gets in there. His dad's at this event. His dad wasn't able to come because his dad races inboards. So his dad wasn't able to come to Windsor, Jake's first race with us, but he did make the trip to Texas from California. So, these guys are excited and they're having fun.
Absolutely, and he's going to learn a ton. I have a feeling 2026, you better watch out for the 01 of Jake McKee. But those of you here in Highlands, don't forget, we've got the famous fried chicken by the Baytown Boat Club. They've had it open since 11 a.m. Grab a plate of fried chicken with some green beans and mashed potatoes, just $15, along with fried potato chips for just $5. And we got to give a big shout-out to Dewey. Dewey has been a fantastic member of the boat club for numerous years, and he's been the guy out there in that red golf cart selling 50-50 raffle tickets. You know the deal on a 50-50. They get half, you get half. Who knows, we might be giving away a golf cart, so make sure you grab your 50-50 raffle ticket from the great folks here at the Baytown Boat Club.
Oh, yeah, I'm sending them over to Debbie at the merch tent so she can do a $10 pull of tickets. That's the best deal for that 50-50.
Absolutely it is. Yeah, and don't forget the fantastic merchandise that we have from the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. The big white Formula One Powerboat Championship Series tent next to the blue awning right here on the grounds of the Baytown Boat Club. Swing by, say hi to Debbie, and pick up a fantastic T-shirt, hat, and all the unbelievable merch we have here on the Formula One Powerboat Championships. There she is. Everybody say hi to Debbie. She's over there working hard, slinging merch for the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series, and she's done it every race all year long, and boy, what a fantastic job she does at it. All right, we're going to get the Formula Lights off the water. We're going to get the Texas Tri-Hulls, affectionately known as bumper boats at 65 miles an hour, coming up right after this commercial break. We'll be back with more racing here at the final round of the 2025 Formula One Powerboat Championship Series.
From an early age, we race. It's part of who we are. It's in our DNA. For some, the need to keep pushing fuels our lives. At VP Racing, we pour everything we have into creating the industry's best products. For those who put it all on the line, whether it's the track or the trail or wherever you race, they say you can't win them all, but you can sure as hell try. VP Racing. Win every race.
JH Performance Boats. Custom-made, classic, shallow water boats built from scratch, offering a direct and personalized experience from start to finish. They provide exceptional service and support, having an unmatched reputation while paying close attention to detail with quality construction, expert knowledge, and outstanding performance. Moto Marketing Group, accelerating brands for over 35 years. From developing some of the most famous boat and race team graphics that look fast to websites that run fast. Moto Marketing Group is your one-stop marketing shop for branding, vehicle wraps, websites, photography, and print design. They do it all professionally for a great price. Check them out online at motomarketinggroup.com.
Racing Communications. They're radios for racing.
Seaway Marine, the Formula Light sponsor here in 2025 on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series, operates out of a 62,000 square foot warehouse that is packed with current OEM parts, aftermarket parts, and vintage hard-to-find parts. They ship over 100,000 packages all over the United States, providing same-day shipping on in-stock orders. Seaway staff is arguably the most knowledgeable in the industry. With decades of experience, Seaway prides itself in excellent customer service. Make Seaway Marine your first call or text for all your marine part needs. 425-412-4006 or online at seawaymarine.com. Seabold Sports, world champion powerboat racing since 1939. Find more on the legendary Seabold family at seaboldsports.com. B&B Racing, one of the world's premier Formula Light powerboat racing teams and one of the most dominant forces on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series Formula Lights class. GT Environmental Finance is an experienced environmental market brokerage company specializing in transaction and advisory services in the field of sustainable development. Incubex, with a unique mission to develop and improve new and existing environmental commodities with their exchange and technology partners. These products include global, environmental, reinsurance, and weather-related commodities. IVG Energy, an industry-leading brokerage specializing in liquid petroleum-based commodities, renewables, environmental products, and energy. From their headquarters in Houston, Texas, to and from locations around the world, they deliver quality results for their clients with forthright honesty, pioneering vision, and a get-the-job-done tenacity. Merix is a diversified global financial services platform providing essential liquidity market access and infrastructure services to clients in the energy, commodities, and financial markets. With more than 40 offices across all major exchanges and technology-powered data and advisory services, Merix is your essential partner. TP ICAP Group is a world-leading liquidity and data solutions specialist. They connect clients to liquidity seamlessly and responsibly across financial and commodity markets globally. Through a full range of brokering protocols, they also provide clients with the data and analytics they need to do business better.
All right, race fans, welcome back here as we've got the Texas Tri-Hulls on the water. We've got a new addition here. He wasn't able to make it back from his regular duties at Lockheed Martin, but Mason Rinker entering the fold here on Sunday, and that's going to throw another wrinkle in things because, boy, the four-stroke on the back of that 52 machine is pretty fast in his own right. I have a feeling he's going to give his brother, the Tanner Rinker, a run for his money here on Sunday.
He will. In Windsor, he's second place in the final. So he can run up front. He's been away with his job, so he hasn't raced all year. And he likes coming out like this and just proving, hey, you guys are lucky I wasn't here all year.
He's the guy that just walks up and throws a grenade into the middle of everything.
Oh, yeah. Messes up the whole championship.
Absolutely. Hey, you know what? Ultimately, when you had to step away like he's had to, there's nothing wrong with playing spoiler.
No, there isn't. It's fun.
Absolutely, It is.
And so, we got Mullet back out there now because yesterday – he got hit in the engine cowling, and it broke his thermostat housing.
Is that what that was?
That's why he went dead in the water the second heat. He's got that all patched up and ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, I asked him, I go, did you lose another steering? He goes, no, we fixed that problem. We went to hydraulic steering, so we didn't have the steering bars getting bent. So I was like, what was it? He took off the cowling, and there's just this giant rubber hose hanging off, and I didn't know what it was. So it was the thermostat on the motor.
Thermostat housing.
So when that happens, does the computer just shut down the motor?
Well, lucky for him, the cowling was broke, and it got wedged in between the starter and the flywheel, and that's what actually stopped the motor rather than blowing up.
Oh, because without that temperature housing, it looks like it might have caused some problems. All right, we've got them all lined up there. We're waiting for Jet Ski Jared from our Sport Rescue team. He's rallying the troops. And, again, unlike Formula Lights and Formula One, we go 2x2 rolling start here in Texas Tri-Hall, and we're going reverse order of points finish from qualifying heat number 1. Let's take a look at our starting lineup here in Texas Tri-Hall. On the inside of row 1, they call him Caddy, the number 54 of Darren Ware. On the outside of row 1, in that John Deere green machine, the number 33 of John Ottinger. On the inside of row 2, the young 14-year-old rookie out of Houma, Louisiana, the number 3 of Austin Terry. On the outside of row 2, the number 88, they call him Tri-Hull Jesus, or I like to call him Not Sure, running for Brondo, the Thirst Mutilator, because it's what boat craves, the number 88 of Josh Wells. On the inside of row 3, the 3-time defending champion with a brand new motor on the back after he blew his motor up yesterday, the 17 of Neil Marsh. In the outside of row 3, the 12 of Jack Schubert. On the inside of row 4, the 69 of Cole Waring. On the outside of row 4, the of Devin Brown.
Hey.
Oh, there we go. All right, sorry about that. On the inside of row 4, the 69 of Cole Waring. On the outside of row 4, the 99 of Devin Brown. Then it's the 42 of Wyatt Zeller and the 26 of Briston Sherman. He pulls off. There goes the green flag, and we're underway here for the final heat in qualifying for Texas Tri-Hall. As the 33 of John Ottinger gets a great run on the field here as they got to go 4-5 wide down into turn 1. Oh, Austin Terry gets into the tail of the 54. No, that was the 13 of Grant Schubert.
Jack. He got into the back of Jack.
Well, it's so hard to see him down there when they wad up all in the first turn. There's so many of them down there in the corner. Let's see what's going to happen down here in turn number 2 on this opening lap. Oh, boy, 2 more boats getting together as they are fighting for position and fighting hard. Look at the 13 of Grant Schubert all over the place, but look at the 17 of Neil Marsh. He emerges from the chaos as we had a couple of spinouts down there at the back end of the course, and now he is on the hunt to try to chase down the 33 of John Ottinger.
He had a tough day yesterday with his motor. He blew it up in the first heat, put another motor on, Neil did yesterday. Then his timing rod came off, so he got that fixed, and look how he's running now. And this is his backup motor.
Oh, look at there. We got a new leader, ladies and gentlemen. Down there in turn number 2, the 17 of Neil Marsh made a move, and he's able to get out in front. There you see the 10 of Tanner Rinker fighting hard, along with the 12 of Jack Schubert, the 26 of Briston Sherman. There's the 88 of Josh Wells, the 03 of Austin Terry, as they are all pushing hard as the San Jacinto really starts to turn up. Boy, and this is a shallow river here, Tim. You can imagine that's got to create a lot more havoc and a lot more waves out here on the water.
But you know what? All the guys were sitting, and they were partway down the straightaway rather than being all the way at the end. So those guys were plowing, making it extremely rough on the start. But you can see our championship contenders. They are neck and neck, and Grant is just in front of Tanner. So they're going to be duking it out the whole time.
Absolutely. And how about the 69 of Cole Waring? He's all the way made himself up all the way up into third position. We see him coming off the corner here. They're wide to the outsides of 13 of Grant Schubert. The 10 of Tanner Rinker now dives down to the inside.
Got around Grant.
Get ahead of the 13 of Grant Schubert, and now he's looking to eye up the 33 of John Ottinger, try to get on the podium here in qualifying heat number 3.
He will. He's tight on the inside, and that rough half spins it out. Let's see if Grant can take advantage of that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But he went way wide.
Yeah, he did. It was interesting. I was told that, the one thing that everybody's struggling with to try to get around the 10 of Tanner Rinker is he goes really tight in and he almost bogs the motor a little bit. But that big 4-stroke seems to just launch him out of the corner, and he doesn't have that slowdown like you see in the 2-stroke.
Got a lot of low-end
grunt.
Oh,
look out there. We got a 3-boat wreck down in the Turner. Who was that? That looks like the 26
Austin
of Brisbane
Terry.
Sherman, the 52 of Mason Rinker, and the 03 of Austin Terry all over each other down there in turn number 1. And now our leader, the 17 of Neil Marsh, is starting to come up on some of those slower boats as he's trying to pull away from the 69 of Cole Waring and the 10 of Tanner Rinker, who round out the podium here halfway through with just a couple of laps remaining in this Texas Tri-Hall third and final qualifying heat.
Wow, the rough water plays havoc out there on those guys. And there are 3 of them trying to get into lane 1, and there's just not enough room.
No, there's not. We see there's the 42 of Wyatt Zeller and the 99 of Devin Brown doing battle. They're fighting for 7th and 8th as they continue to push hard down the back straightaway. There's our
looking
leader.
Good out front.
Yeah, he is. That new motor that he worked, I think, until about 10:30, 11 o'clock last night on that motor. There's the white flag is out for our leader, the 17 of Neil Marsh, as he continues to push.
Neil has got a different attitude to his boat than the other tri-hulls. You see him coming out of the corners. He's not bouncing it up as high, and he is getting the drive. If you can have your motor trim parallel, that gives you the best drive out of the corners all the way around the course, and he is making that work. Great job to him and his crew.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, let me hear you put your hands together. Your winner in qualifying heat number 3, your 3-time defending series champion, out of Hemlock, Michigan, number 17, the dude, Mr. Neil Marsh. Right behind him, just almost a little under 4 seconds behind him. In second place, a solid run for the 69 of Cole Waring, getting off the schneid after those motor issues that we talked about yesterday. And then how about this, Tim? The 10 of Tanner Rinker able to sneak by the 13 of Grant Schubert and collect just a few extra points here in this final qualifying heat. And it's going to come down to the final here, 20 laps around this 2-pin course later on this afternoon. Who's it going to be, Grant Schubert or Tanner Rinker, or maybe the 17 of Neil Marsh?
It's funny. Tanner Rinker, Grant Schubert are 2 championship leaders, and so far it's going to be interesting who starts where for the final, because those guys haven't been all the way at the top this weekend yet, have they?
No, I don't believe that they have. I know that they've had some solid finishes. Obviously, we saw that battle yesterday where the 10 of Tanner Rinker basically T-boned the 13 of Grant Schubert after spinning out down in the corner. Grant got the best of him and was able to get by him. So they've been swapping positions here in qualifying. But you're right. If they don't start on the row number 1, it's all going to be dependent on how well they can get in and out of those first couple of turns on the opening lap, try to find some clean water. If they can't do that, who knows? Maybe the 17 of Neil Marsh can squeak by him and run that thing all the way to a checkered flag, and he'd be super happy with that, because I know he was struggling earlier this year, and to finish the season on back-to-back wins would be a big propellant for the 17 of Neil Marsh going into 2026.
I don't know if Neil can make up that many points now after yesterday, but I like Tanner Rinker's chances because he can stay tight on the turns, both in the first and second turn. And it seems like Grant is having a hard time staying on the buoys in the second turn. So I think that's going to hurt them when they come up for lap traffic and have to dive underneath the pass.
Absolutely. And I'm curious, Tim, obviously we're here on the San Jacinto, down on the south end of the course. We've kind of got a peninsula that comes out. Does that affect how much rougher it is down there on turn 2? Because it seems like that has been extremely problematic in comparison to the north end of the course in turns 1 and 2 for all 3 classes.
I think it's a little shallower down on 2 than it is on 1 for the tri-hulls. So, and it's right on that point. You might be getting the waves coming back off of that peninsula. So, it is sure causing problems for some of them out there in turn 2.
racing. Obviously, from the numerous years you ran down at George Winter Park, just south of downtown St. Louis, Missouri, I believe turn 2 was about 3 feet of water. It was a very shallow race course. How does having different depths like we see here, like you used to deal with at George Winter Park, how can that affect the attitude of the water and how you have to navigate it inside the cockpit of your tunnel boat?
Well, it's a little bit different now than it was back then, because back in the day, just like the vintage boats that you saw do the parade laps earlier today, you were in an open cockpit. So you didn't have the closed canopies. Now we need more water depth, so that way we can open the canopy should there be a problem and somebody go over.
Right.
That's also why in the Formula One boats we have the airbag system. So what the airbag system does, it's a safety system that they put in, and there's a balloon that comes out right behind the driver's head, and it's up on top right behind the canopy lid, and you've got pucks on the back with air cylinders, so it floods the back end, it lifts the front end, so if a driver were to be knocked out, then he would be floated out of the water.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think I remember one of the first times where we had to deal with canopies in a wreck down there in George Winter Park. I believe it was a collision between Guido Cappellini and Jim McKay down there in turn number 3, probably about 1993. He had that big white Burgess that they put the enclosed cockpit on, and him and Cappellini got together, and he ended up rolling to the inside. And for a few moments there, it was a pretty dicey situation for Jim McKay. But obviously, we got to go a little bit deeper if the driver has to get it goes upside down now, because they are in that enclosed cockpit.
That's why we got to have, a deeper water now. But you're right, that did happen. And back in the day, as a driver, you were required to go to turn 3, and if needed, you'd go out in the water and help turn the boat over so that way we didn't have a problem for the driver.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, I remember. I wasn't very old, but I do remember that very vividly. All right, looks like we've got Kay Myers down in the pits with our winner from qualifying heat number 3. Boy, things have turned around for the man they call the Dude, straight out of Hemlock. We're going to turn it over to Kay as she's with our winner, the 17, Neil Marsh.
Neil was so excited with this win. He had to go straight down to his crew and thank them for all of the work that they've done this weekend to get you that checkered flag. You've had a lot of gremlins running through your pits. Tell us what exactly was going on and what repairs you had to make to collect this checkered flag.
We blew up the good power head 3 laps into testing, so right out of the box we were in the hole again, and we just got that thing to run. Just came off a great victory there in Windsor, and this Canadian's going to make some noise here, but all right, so these Michiganders. So, we came off a great win there in Windsor, and we got a great new sponsor with Island Lake Marine. They helped us out with a spare engine, luckily, and so they brought it here, and we needed it, right? So we threw her on, and we had some problems of our own with it, and that stuff happens. And it just shows you hard work pays off. And I tell you, this is like the 2 most rewarding wins of my career. These two back-to-back. It's like, it's perfect, man. My guys, they worked so hard. We tore that thing apart all season, over and over and over again. And it shows. Sometimes we leave some nuts and bolts off. We got a few extra ones in the bin there, but oh well, throw it in the box, and we'll figure it out when we get home.
We've got a lot of extra step in that win, and your team has worked so hard for you to get that checkered flag. And once again, congratulations. Neil Marsh collects his checkered flag for the first time on Saturday morning here at Highlands, Texas. Thomas?
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Kay. And while we were watching that interview, Tim, look at the damage on the Tenna Tanner Rinker. The right side of that Texas tri-hull is all bashed up. The real question I wonder is that going to affect his performance if water gets in there? That looks like a pretty big spot of damage on the front nose of that Texas tri-hull.
It's never good when you have damage, but at this point, they've got the final to run, and he's going to run that thing until the boat blows apart, because he's going after a championship, and there's no quit.
Absolutely, and duct tape is a boat racer's best friend. I have a feeling that there may be a roll or 2 that'll be plastered to the front right corner of the nose of that Texas tri-hull. But that boat has been a unbelievable machine. Not only Tanner with his tear that he's been on here in 2025, but his grandfather Jerry Rinker had a ton of success in that boat before he stepped out of the cockpit earlier this year. But I don't know, after Tanner's done with it, they might have to retire that thing before the 2026 season.
At least they're going to have to put some TLC on it and give it some love, that's for sure. You know, funny thing I heard last night with these guys is that his grandpa, Scary Jerry, didn't want him to trim it under too much, so he had put a bolt in there, and then Tanner couldn't trim it in enough. So they had a little bit of an off setup yesterday, but right now Jerry's down there with Kay, so let's see if he'll admit to it.
All right, take it away, Kay.
All right, I do have Scary Jerry here, and I said, hey, there's a giant hole in your boat over there. What happened, and what repairs do you think you can make on that?
Well, to be honest with you, I did that repair, and I'm a little embarrassed. There's not a hole clear through that boat, but it could be taking on water. He must have got hit again. It was a pretty bad patch.
Well, you know,
That black piece is just a piece of one layer of glass sticking out. It peeled off. And I don't know what I did to that boat.
I think you ran that boat one too many times and hit too many other people, that there's existing damage that is reoccurring.
That boy has done more damage to that boat than I ever did.
Well, we're going to get that boat back up into that Rinker boat world. We're going to put some duct tape on, and we're going to get your grandson out here so we can get a checker flag just for you,
Okay,
Scary Jerry.
Thank you, Kay. That's very positive thinking.
All right, back to you, Thomas. Tim?
All right, the man who's got plenty of words, the retired Scary Jerry Rinker, multi-time APBA champion in Texas Tri-Hall. He's won the series championship before. And I'm going to ask you, Tim, you raced for 40, 50 years. Did you ever expect to see an octogenarian race in a boat?
No.
I mean, it's something special to see. I mean, I get that he's retired now, but, I mean, 5 years ago I was stunned that the man was still in the boat. And not only was he in the boat, he was competitive. And there was a while there, pre-Neil Marsh, that Scary Jerry was the Neil Marsh.
Oh, he's the man.
Neil Marsh.
He's the man. And, you know, the last person wanted he didn't want to get out of the boat, let me say that.
For sure.
They had him talk him off of that. But, you know, he kept himself in great shape.
Yeah,
and it was amazing what that man could do.
And it's amazing how, you know, a lot of people think, you know, motorsports, you know, you're sitting, right? You've got power steering. You've got all these comforts. It can't be that difficult on your body to race. But, I mean, of course, the Texas Tri-Hall is going to put a lot more on your body. But any of them, Formula Lights, Formula One, Texas Tri-Hall, the amount of force and pressure and just fatigue that it puts on your body, I think would surprise most people who don't understand what it's like inside the cockpit.
For sure. In particular, the Tri-Halls. I mean, they beat the shit out of you. So
I mean,
they get out of there, and Jerry ran it when there was no power steering. You had your regular ride guide, power, you know, cable steering. So that made it even worse. But he's a great spokesman for the Rinker team, and we love having him around. And you never know what he's going to say.
That is very, very true. A gem of a human being, Scary Jerry Rinker, the patriarch of the Texas edition of the Rinker Racing family, and a fantastic person that I'm very glad to be able to call a friend of mine. And we're so excited that he's still with us, because I was surprised. I didn't know if Jerry'd want to come after he had to step out of the cockpit. You know, a lot of guys, when they get done racing, they step away completely because they have that hard time separating. I commend Jerry for his ability, maybe begrudgingly a little bit, but able to come here and spend this time with his family while watching the racing instead of competing in it.
Powerboat racing is a family sport, and he wants to be in the middle of it, giving them advice, trying to help his grandsons in the Tri-Hall division come forward so they can win the championship. And look, it's paying off. Those two boys run up front, and one of them's fighting for the championship.
Absolutely. All right, absolutely. We'll take a look there. We got most of our boats out on the water here for Formula One. Again, we're going to do reverse order of points in Formula One. But first, we talk about Scary Jerry. Let's look at the legacy that is Rinker Racing.
Tunnel boat racing that's risen above the rest. They call themselves the Rinkers. It began with John Rinker, visionary founder of Rinker Boats, whose legacy on the water would become the foundation for one of powerboat racing's most iconic families. Terry Rinker brought the Rinkers' legacy to new heights, winning over 18 national and series championships, including 2 Formula One Powerboat Championship Series titles in his illustrious career, cementing himself as one of the best to ever grip the wheel. Then came Ashton Rinker, continuing their excellence with back-to-back Formula One Powerboat Championship Series championships in 2018 and 2019. Along with that, the Rinker family did something none have ever done before. On the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series in 2017, they swept the top 3 spots on the series podium, with Terry taking first, Rob in the middle, and Ashton rounding out the top 3. But the Rinker legacy doesn't just live on in national championships. It runs deep in the heart of Texas, where the Texas branch of the Rinker racing family has carved their own path. Leading the charge was Jerry Rinker, bringing Rinker boats and Rinker family racing to the great state of Texas, establishing Rinker Boat World just north of Houston, Texas. Jerry also found tri-hull racing with an unmatched passion and drive for excellence. He became one of the most decorated drivers in Texas tri-hull racing.
There's a lot of heritage in it. We actually started racing boats back in the late 30s, and my dad was started building the Rinker boats, and the first race I saw, I was 7 on the White River north of Indianapolis. My oldest brother came down, grabbed me by the ear, and dragged me down the bank and said, "Jerry, see that race boat? You're going to drive it."
He passed his legacy on to his son Chris, who became a decorated tri-hull driver in his own right before stepping into the Formula One class. After a steady ascent and multiple podiums in his F1 career, 2025 has seen Chris Rinker in a breakout performance. With his first win ever on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series, Chris Rinker took home the 2025 Alton Midwest Nationals.
Well, deep down, I think we have a lot of confidence in what we do, and we've got a great team, but I try to stay humble with it all because you never know what's going to happen. You know, there's some really good drivers out there, and, we show up because we know we have a chance. We know we have a good chance, but we just hope all the dominoes fall our way.
Now Chris finds himself in the top 3 in the standings as the season hits critical stretch, and he's got all the momentum on his side. Chris's sons, Tanner and Mason Rinker, are now carrying the flag in the Texas Tri-Hull class for the Rinker family. Tanner has stepped into the lead boat of the Rinker Texas Tri-Hull contingency here in 2025. Tanner has taken off like a rocket from there, winning back-to-back races at round 2, the Red River Rumble in Shreveport, Louisiana, and the last round at the Alton Midwest Nationals. Tanner now finds himself right in the thick of things, going up against 3-time defending champion Neil Marsh and series points leader so far, the 13 of Grant Schubert.
It's pretty cool to be able to carry on the tradition of racing, to be a part of the crew, part of the Rinker racing team. There's a long line of winning, and it's cool to even further that legacy of winning. When we're in the pits, it's nothing but friendly family stuff, but when it comes to racing, it's all about winning.
Can Tanner make it 3 in a row in tri-hull? Will Chris go back-to-back and catapult himself to the top of the Formula One standing? It's a living story yet to be written. One family, one name, one legacy, the Rinkers, generation after generation.
All right, the Rinker Racing Clan, the Texas edition here, strong in 2025. As we see there, the 52 of Chris Rinker, they call him the real deal, is sitting on the dock ready to try to fix a little bit from yesterday. Boy, that second qualifying heat really struggled for the 52 of Chris Rinker. Kind of surprising, Tim, as he was driven all over the race course by the 99 of Travis Yates and only finished 6th or 7th in that second qualifying heat yesterday afternoon.
He was a little off in that second heat, but they worked diligently. You know, James Chambers is his crew chief, and he is very decorated, won many championships with Terry Rinker and Jack Withrow. So I'm sure they got that thing dialed in today. Chris went out earlier to shake it down. And now we got Jeremiah Mayo on the hook getting towed in. So we'll have to find out what's wrong with him. I know Jeremiah broke his best prop yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
In the first heat. So he wasn't sure what prop he was going to run, but this is something maybe a little different.
Yeah, they're going to have to hopefully get that thing on the trailer quickly and try to figure out what's going on that number 8 Ray Bob seasoning-sponsored entry, and that would be tough for him because I know he was sitting in that third spot coming into the weekend, 59 points back from our leader, the 01 of Dustin Terry. He did solid yesterday to keep himself in contention, but if he can't fire here in qualifying heat number 3, that is going to be really detrimental to that young driver's opportunity at a series championship here in 2025.
Well, it's going to be interesting what we have on the start dock now because Grant Schubert's on pole, and he's getting that thing dialed in better and better each heat race. And Jared Jensen's up towards the front. He's been coming off the dock strong.
Absolutely.
And then, the big surprise yesterday was Travis Yates.
Absolutely.
Second heat, Travis held off Chris Rinker, and he looked extremely good.
Absolutely. Obviously, when you're in a wreck like Travis was back about 5 years ago, 2019, 6 years ago, 2019, I remember talking to you when it happened, and I believe you said that is probably the worst wreck I've ever seen. His boat was splintered into a ton of pieces, and I can imagine it takes a little while to build back the confidence and the level of comfort to push it on the ragged edge, and maybe that was the turning point for the 99 of Travis Yates, and who knows, 2026 might be another breakout year for that driver as a part of the Outlaw F1 team.
It's all about your comfort level, and you're right. After you have an incident, you got to get your legs back under you, and you got to go back out, and there's no other way to get that confidence back besides going out and doing it. You can think about it all you want and wear yourself out, and it also helps if you know why it happened, why certain things happen.
All right, it looks like we've got Kay Myers down in the pits with the 8 of Jeremiah Mayo. Let's see if he can give us some insight what's going on with that Ray Bob seasoning machine. Kay?
Come back. We saw you come back in, but what's going on inside this cockpit? What happened?
We lost all power, so we lost trim first and then hit one more wake, and all power went away. Engine died, so we think that something's wrong with the battery. Just lost everything. No 24, no 12, no 0.
All right, well, I just heard, we got this. You got a good crew working for you, so we're going to jump off this boat so we can get Jeremiah back out on the course.
All right, boy, battery issues, always the bane of the existence of any Formula One powerboat driver. I can imagine you a time or two have had to deal with something similar to this in your career. How frustrating does it have to be when you put in all that preparation and something like this happens?
Man, that just shows how every single piece has to be in place for you to be able to go out and compete at the highest level. Michael Schubert, he has got a lot of experience, and Jeremiah relies on him to do everything. So Michael's in there. He'll get him fixed up, and we'll see the number 8 right in the mix.
It looks like they're taking the nuts off the top of that battery there. And talk a little bit about the batteries. I know batteries, it's kind of a sticky wicket here in Formula One powerboat racing because I know we use a different voltage when you start, right? You got the 24 volt and the 12 volt. How much pressure and stress does it put on the batteries when you fire these high performance racing machines?
Well, that always spikes. The battery voltage always spikes, but you're running 24 volt starting. You're also running 24 volt out trim because you want it to happen as quickly as possible. So when you do that, you're not charging the 24 volt battery. You're only charging your 12 volt battery once you're out there racing. So that can take a toll on it, especially on somebody that's heavy on the trim like Jeremiah. I mean,
he does love that trim button.
He used to go through trim pumps like they were going out of style because he'd be on the trim so hard. So they're going to get it back together. And the other thing that we've done over the last few years is a lot of guys have switched to lithium batteries. And they're switching to lithium batteries because of the high voltage. So they'll put out a very high voltage for like the first 3 seconds, and which will make it start faster. But also they're extremely light. So in comparison, you have, let's say, 2 standard lead-acid batteries versus your lithium batteries. You're probably 35 pounds difference.
Oh, wow.
So it saves you 35 pounds in the boat, which is critical.
Absolutely, because then now you have 35 pounds to put that weight where you want it versus it being forced to be in one specific spot.
Exactly. And that helps you dial the boat in for your balance for any kind of conditions.
Absolutely. And take a look at a race course like this. What type of weight distribution or what things do you think the drivers are doing, and how are they moving that weight around to change the attitude of these boats out here on the San Jacinto?
That's why the wind is so critical, because these guys are pulling everything out right now.
Absolutely.
This is the last race of the year. There's no tomorrow. So these guys got everything out of that boat they can get out of it. That's why when the wind comes up, it's so critical, especially when they're low on fuel. So then the handling kind of goes away because it's not quite balanced right, but they need to get from the start dock to the first turn, and that's the only way you do it.
Right, and that's a very dicey thing. You talk about pulling everything out, trying to get that weight as low as possible to get as much performance out of it. And it's funny, last night, talking to one of the former crew members from Greg Foster, when we got talking about a couple of old times where, it was like, as soon as the race was over, it was like, shut it down, get towed in, don't even run that motor anymore. We need every ounce of fuel possible. And I know that in your family, there was a moment in time where not one, but two people were, I think, a combined less than 1 pound underweight after race. And one of those was because of maybe a few extra parade laps due to the excitement of winning at his hometown race.
That was my brother, Mike, at St. Louis. He did 2 victory laps, came in, and he was a half pound under.
I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. Felix Sorales walked up and just grabbed the checkered flag. One of those dejected moments in boat racing.
That still burns him unbelievably.
Fair, right? But guess what? I bet you he never did it again after that. You learn, don't you? All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're ready to rock and roll here. 1 minute gun coming up here in our Formula One final qualifying heat. 1 minute drivers, 1 minute. On the pole, the 13 of Grant Schubert running for Captain Marks. Can he fire off that beach and goes cruising down into the first turn and get the lead? 50 seconds, drivers, 50 seconds. Or will it be our lone Canadian, the 98 of Aiden Benton, who's sitting second off the start dock? Or could it be the 29 of Jared Jensen? 40 seconds, drivers, 40 seconds. Can the 99 of Travis Yates build off of yesterday and get a great start off the dock here? Or could the 52 of Chris Rinker get himself back up as close as possible to the 01 of Dustin Terry? Let's see who's going to win the final qualifying heat in second. Our starting order for the main event, 20 seconds, drivers. You're under starters' orders. Oh, no, the 98 of Aiden Benton fires early. Looks like they're able to get him back in, but that's the question is that going to give him a lap penalty, or are they going to force him to go to the back of the dock? A little itchy on that trigger finger. I guess I got to take a little bit of blame for that. I missed a 10-second window in our countdown. I do apologize to our drivers. Got a little bit too excited, but here it is. The flag is up. And it looks like they're going to send the 98 of Aiden Benton down to last on the dock. How frustrating does it have to be when something like that happens, Tim, and you got to circle yourself all the way to the last position on the start pontoon?
It is, especially when you get down to 20 seconds. Your focus is all on the flagman. So you're not hearing much or anything else, but you're watching that flagman, and if he twitches, you got to be ready on the button.
Absolutely. All right, looks like the 98 Benton's trying to find where his position is going to be here in this final qualifying heat. He's sitting there about middle of the pack. I think they're trying to assess where they're going to send him here for this final heat. Boy, he's got to be frustrated, that young Canadian driver. Looks like they are going to allow him to pull back into his spot. We'll take a chat with our referees after the conclusion of this heat to see what type of, if any, penalties are going to be assessed for the 98 of Aiden Benton, but he's going to float his way back in. And that's the tricky part, is when you don't have brakes, you got to be so soft with the throttle and the gas when you're trying to get your boat in between these other high-performance machines on the start pontoon.
Oh, yeah, and the other crews are chipping in so they can get them into place, and obviously everybody's trying to do this very quickly so we can start the race for the fans at home and the fans here on site, which are packing in now, and it's looking awesome down there.
Absolutely. We got a ton of fans here at the beautiful Baytown Boat Club. All right, we're going to do this one more time, and I assure you I will not miss one of those 10-second windows here on our 1 minute countdown. All right, he's all lined back up in position again. Here we go. Let's do it one more time. 1 minute, drivers, 1 minute. On the pole, the 13 of Grant Schubert. He's going to need a good run here to try to cap off a 2025 season that's seen him move into a couple of different boats here in 2025. Can he pull it off here at the final qualifying heat? 50 seconds, drivers. Then it's the 98 of Aiden Benton. followed by the 29 of Jared Jensen, and then an Island Lake Marine Machine. Can he get rolling? 40 seconds, drivers, 40 seconds. And it's the 99 of Travis Yates, the 52 of Chris Rinker, the Heat 2 winner, the 24 of Spencer Love. 30 seconds, drivers, 30 seconds. And then it's our top 4 boats, the Jeremiah Mayo, the 17 of Dylan Anderson, the 01 of Dustin Terry. Let's see who's going to win. Heat 3, 20 seconds, drivers, you're under starters orders. The flag is up. He drops the flag. Let's see who's going to get a jump there. Great jump by the 13 of Grant Schubert, but how about the 29 of Jared Jensen? He didn't really get off the beach very well.
You know who got a great start is Chris Rinker.
Oh, and he needed it. He knew he needs it. He goes wide to the outside. That's set deck to deck with the 13 of Grant Schubert. They come out of turn number 4. As they go down the front straightaway, on the inside, it's Schubert. On the outside, it's Jensen. But Rinker, how about the 01 of Dustin Terry already up into third? Man, can that guy fly around the outside of the course, Tim?
He's got the setup to let it roll on the outside. He's got the legs, and he's trying to stay ahead of his teammate, Jeremiah, right now. But Chris Rinker, rough in between 3 and 4. Chris is on the outside. He's got to watch Dylan.
Absolutely.
So Chris is going to have to come over and protect his line.
Absolutely. As he goes down to the inside, now you're going to see him go all the way to the pin. That's going to force the 1 of Terry to go through the wash. And on the outside now, then Jeremiah's got to go through his wash. It's like that domino effect, Tim, as the drivers change positions. It's really that game of cat and mouse as they're pushing all over the place.
It is, and now that Chris Rinker has got rid of Dustin, number 1, behind him, now he'll concentrate on number 13, the leader, Grant Schubert. But, you know, Grant's got the bit in his mouth right now, and he's out front, so I don't look for him to slow down one bit.
Absolutely, but you got to think that Chris Rinker is going to be pushing it to the limit because he's got to try to put the 13 of Grant Schubert between him and the 01 of Dustin Terry because he needs to gain those extra points that he lost yesterday in qualifying Heat 2 so that he can ensure that it's going to be a knockdown drag-out in the final event in Formula 1 later on today.
It will, and now you're starting to see Heat 2 winner, Spencer Love. He's making his way around Aiden, and then Dylan is creeping up the inside. Oh, Spencer gets it high. He is pushing it to the limit.
As they go down tight into turn number 1. Good job there by the 98 of Aiden Benton holding his lane in that TP ICAP GT Environmental.
So right now we're seeing Chris Rinker about 2 seconds behind the leader. Let's see what happens to that time frame. And all of a sudden now you're seeing Dustin Terry in third running on the inside where he hasn't been all weekend.
But I think he's doing that because he's trying to protect from the 8 of Jeremiah Mayo because he knows that's where Jeremiah wants to run. So he has to sacrifice maybe a little bit of being able to close the gap on Rinker to defend his position against the 8 of Jeremiah Mayo as we see Rinker come out of turn number 4, and he's got that thing screaming.
Well, that's the luxury of Dustin's Heat 1 and Heat 2 finishes. So now he doesn't necessarily have to pass Chris, but he's got to make sure he doesn't get passed.
Absolutely. We see we got a battle now. The 17 of Dylan Anderson down to the inside. The 24 of Spencer Love wide to the outside as they're both trying to creep up on either sponsor of the 98 of Aiden Benton. And it looks like the Dylan Anderson making the good move down to the inside. He's going to be able to get by him. But boy, the 24 of Spencer Love, he got pushed wide to the outside. And it's amazing how one moment being in the wrong spot can just kill all the momentum you have and really draw you back off of that fight as the 17 of Anderson continues to blow right by him. And now here comes the 29 of Jensen up the inside. Boy, Spencer Love looks like he's got to move that thing back to the inside because he is really struggling out there.
He's gotten hung up on the outside, and he can't get over to get on the inside. And in the meantime, you get passed by 2 guys. So he has got to get to the inside and follow Jared through and get around Aiden.
Absolutely. It looks like we lost the rear cowling on that 99 JH Performance Machine of Travis Yates. Got to watch out there for this brackish water here on the San Jacinto. Is that going to cause some problems for him? There he is coming down the back straightaway. That number 99, Chartreuse in black. But right now, it is all about the 13 of Grant Schubert. Now the battle, here we go for 24 of Spencer Love and the 29 of Jared Jensen as they battle for 5th position here in this 3rd and final qualifying heat. Everybody is pushing it to the limit here on the final heat of qualifying on the 2025 season. It's all for the marbles here on the battle on the San Jacinto as we wrap up our 2025 calendar Who is going to be able to secure that season championship? Will it be the man sitting in second place, the 52 of Chris Rinker, or could it be the 01 of Dustin Terry, who's in third, as they continue to push here with 3 minutes, 37 seconds, plus 1 lap remaining? There you see the 13 of Grant Schubert getting by the 9 of Johnny Fleming. Johnny Fleming, big wreck in Windsor, Colorado, unable to run yesterday after he found some additional damage sustained from that wreck in Colorado that forced him out of qualifying heats 1 and 2, and it looks like he's maybe a little bit less dialed in than he wanted to after having to sit out yesterday.
Well, Chris Rinker is making some headway, pulling up little by little on Grant. So,
well, this is where his experience might come into play in the Formula One class. He's got quite a few more races than the 13 of Grant Schubert, and we're starting to get into some of those back markers, and that might be exactly what he's looking for.
You just see Jeremiah pass Dustin in turn 1.
That is a big deal here. The points are so tight, and you got to imagine that the 52 of Chris Rinker's team's letting him know, hey, Mayo past Terry, go, go, go. Continue to push, because now he's got a little bit more of a points gap.
Chris Rinker's best friend right now is Dylan Anderson, number 17, because if he can pull up...
the 8 of Jeremiah Mayo spins out down in turn number 1. Oh, no, he pushed it a little bit too hard. Now the 17 of Dylan Anderson's got to be on the hunt for the 01 of Dustin Terry, because now Terry has moved back up into third.
That'll be critical for Chris Rinker's chances, and also Dylan. You know, Dylan's in the championship hunt too, so he's got to try and get around Dustin before this thing's over.
Absolutely, and he's got I think he had a first and a fourth yesterday. The 01 of Terry had a second and third, so if he can get around him, that may mean he's going to start one position higher in our main event later on today. But boy, how about the 13 of Grant Schubert? He continues to push all over the race course, but you're right, that gap is closing. It's down to 1.41 seconds between the 13 of Schubert
1.4, but we got under 2 minutes left. And then Dylan is having to swing outside, keep the speed up, while Dustin's trying to protect his line and stay on the inside, which is not his strong point.
Yeah, now hopefully the 17 of Dylan Anderson's like, that's right, man. You just stay tight to the pin. I'm going to sweep this big APX 250 4.6-liter V8 wide to the outside, and let's see if he can't drag race him down the back straightaway.
Well, it's mano-a-mano on these engine packages with those two. They got the same engine package, same boat manufacturer, so it comes down to the propeller and desire.
Absolutely, as we see the 17 of Dallin Anderson continue to push. There he is, right all over the 01 of Dustin Terry. He go down into turn number 1. Now off at turn 1 into turn 2. Here comes
side by side on the back straightaway.
And I like that Johnny Fleming moves to the outside. He knows that after missing qualifying yesterday, he's not going to try to get in the way of the championship fight. But boy, what a great job there by the 01 of Dustin Terry, somehow figuring a way to run that inside line with that big 4-stroke on the back.
Dylan Anderson threaded the needle going into 3 because Johnny was there. Johnny moved over and left him enough room, and Dylan had to have that confidence to know where he was going to be.
All right, there's the 13 of Grant Schubert now coming off of turn number 4, continuing to stay ahead of the 52 of Chris Rinker. That lead back to 2.3 seconds. There's the white flag. Go fast. Turn left. Just 4 more times for the young driver out of Richmond, Texas. Can he win a qualifying heat here at his hometown race at the Baytown Boat Club here for the final round of the 2025 season as he walks it down out of turn number 2. Puts it back on its tail, running it hard down the back straightaway. There's the 01 of Dustin Terry. He's still sitting in 3rd position, pushing hard, trying to hold off the 17 of Dylan Anderson. But as he comes out of turn 4, ladies and gentlemen, let me hear it for you. The winner of the final qualifying heat of 2025 out of Richmond, Texas, running for Captain Mark Seafood, number 13, Grant Schubert.
Well, Grant came off the beach like a shot, and that's what he needed.
Absolutely.
And winning one heat race like that, that's really going to jump him up in the points for the overall. To figure out where he's going to start for the final in the final order. So that's good for him. It's good for Chris. Chris got a solid second. So we're gonna be very tight on our points for the final starting order.
Yeah, we will. Finishing out the top 3. There was the 01 of Dustin Terry for a minute there. We thought he had been bumped off the podium by the 8 of Jeremiah Mayo, but Jeremiah spins out down in turn 1, only held that third place position for about a lap or so, and then he went over the line and pushed it all the way to a spin out down in turn 1. And boy, you got to imagine the 52 of Chris Rinker might have a word or two for Jeremiah, like, come on, man, what were you doing down there? You had him. Because he really needed that extra gap. Now, he gained a few points, but imagine gaining 2 position gaps of points versus just the one that they ended up finishing apart here in the final qualifying heat.
That's why you can only control what you can control. When you go out there, you've got to do your job, and you've got to put that thing up front, and where everybody else finishes is out of your hands. So concentrate on what you're doing. We still got the final coming up. That's where most of the points are at.
Absolutely. 3 times the points of qualifying in the finals. So just because you may have lost a little ground, I mean, heck, you run your race. Chris Rinker gets a good jump. Dustin Terry maybe gets stuck behind a boat in the middle of the pack. Who knows what's going to happen? Could the 17 of Dylan Anderson get a great run? Because he finished 4th here, and he's got a 1st and 2 fourths. Dustin Terry has got a 2nd and 2 thirds. So the real question is going to be, those two might just end up right next to one another, and they're battling so hard. Those other championship contenders, the likes of Mayo and Rinker, could really be the benefactor of that.
Well, our scorers are tabulating all the points. They're doing all the finish orders, so that way we'll have a lineup. We'll let everybody know, and we've got our winner over with Kay.
Absolutely. The 13 of Grant Schubert, your winner for qualifying heat number 3, down with our pit reporter, Kay Myers.
We're going to make this quick because he's got to go jump right into his tri-haul, and he's got a very busy weekend. But, Grant, you just walked away with that win. But towards the end, back traffic was an issue, and Chris started to gain on you quick.
Oh, yeah. That yellow machine behind me is just all over me all the time. I'm glad he's out here racing. He's a great competitor, and, man, that boat is fast.
Yesterday you had some steering problems, and you've got a great crew behind you. You got to thank them for this checkered flag as well.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to thank Kevin McCullough, Michael Schubert, John Schubert, Jeremiah Mayo, Briston Sherman. They're all helping me out a lot. Oh, and Mullet, the man.
All right, congratulations on a checkered flag for our young driver, Captain Marks, Grant Schubert.
Boy, what a great young run by that young driver. That's got to be a big confidence booster going into the final for him, Tim, here as he really had that thing screaming fast here in this final qualifying heat.
That third heat reminded me of a flashback from the final at Windsor.
And he ran it
number 13, number 52 battling it out.
Absolutely.
And number 13 getting the better.
Yeah, he did, and it was really surprising in Colorado because, again, at altitude, right, the 52 of Chris Rinker's got a couple different motor packages that has become more commonplace here on our series. He chose to go to that APX 4-stroke for that dynamic fuel injection, and boy, they tuned that Captain Marks motor to the moon, and he had just enough to hold off the 52 of Rinker in Colorado for all 38 laps.
So these guys are going to have a little bit different strategy for the final because the final is a lot longer.
Absolutely.
So you're carrying more gas. So it could take a different prop. It definitely takes different trim setting to get off the beach because once you add that extra fuel, you've got to adjust how your motor is so you can get off the beach, as quick as possible.
Absolutely. We'll talk more about that right after this. We're going to take a quick break from our commercial sponsors, and we'll be back with the beginning of our finals here, the final race of the 2025 season here at the Battle on the San Jacinto. JH Performance Boats. Custom-made, classic, shallow water boats built from scratch, offering a direct and personalized experience from start to finish. They provide exceptional service and support, having an unmatched reputation while paying close attention to detail with quality construction, expert knowledge, and outstanding performance.
Moto Marketing Group, accelerating brands for over 35 years. From developing some of the most famous boat and race team graphics that look fast to websites that run fast. Moto Marketing Group is your one-stop marketing shop for branding, vehicle wraps, websites, photography, and print design. They do it all professionally for a great price. Check them out online at motomarketinggroup.com.
Racing Communications. They're radios for racing.
Seaway Marine, the Formula Light sponsor here in 2025 on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series, operates out of a 62,000 square foot warehouse that is packed with current OEM parts, aftermarket parts, and vintage hard-to-find parts. They ship over 100,000 packages all over the United States, providing same-day shipping on in-stock orders. Seaway staff is arguably the most knowledgeable in the industry. With decades of experience, Seaway prides itself in excellent customer service. Make Seaway Marine your first call or text for all your marine part needs. 425-412-4006 or online at seawaymarine.com. Seabold Sports, world champion powerboat racing since 1939. Find more on the legendary Seabold family at seaboldsports.com.
From an early age, we race. It's part of who we are. It's in our DNA. For some, the need to keep pushing fuels our lives. At VP Racing, we pour everything we have into creating the industry's best products. For those who put it all on the line, whether it's the track or the trail or wherever you race, they say you can't win them all, but you can sure as hell try. VP Racing. Win every race.
B&B Racing, one of the world's premier Formula Light powerboat racing teams and one of the most dominant forces on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series Formula Lights class. GT Environmental Finance is an experienced environmental market brokerage company specializing in transaction and advisory services in the field of sustainable development. Incubex, with a unique mission to develop and improve new and existing environmental commodities with their exchange and technology partners. These products include global, environmental, reinsurance, and weather-related commodities. IVG Energy, an industry-leading brokerage specializing in liquid petroleum-based commodities, renewables, environmental products, and energy. From their headquarters in Houston, Texas, to and from locations around the world, they deliver quality results for their clients with forthright honesty, pioneering vision, and a get-the-job-done tenacity. Merix is a diversified global financial services platform providing essential liquidity market access and infrastructure services to clients in the energy, commodities, and financial markets. With more than 40 offices across all major exchanges and technology-powered data and advisory services, Merix is your essential partner. TP ICAP Group is a world-leading liquidity and data solutions specialist. They connect clients to liquidity seamlessly and responsibly across financial and commodity markets globally. Through a full range of brokering protocols, they also provide clients with the data and analytics they need to do business better. B&B Racing, one of the world's premier Formula Light powerboat racing teams. All right, well, we're going to see one of our divers from the sport rescue team jump into the San Jacinto. Our drone battery died right before it made it back to land, and we've got one of our fantastic divers that take care of our drivers out there looking to see if he can't hunt down that drone that went in the water there. You see Dustin's getting the regulator, and here he goes, going down underneath to try to find the drone at the bottom of the San Jacinto River. Thankfully, not a very deep part of the river here right in front of the Baytown Boat Club, so hopefully he can locate that piece of equipment that's very, very important for our live stream and our TV show. Again, don't forget, coming out this fall on Speed Sport 1, we're going to have all 6 rounds of the 2025 season in a fully produced television show for your viewing pleasure. So make sure you go on to Amazon, find the Speed Sport 1 channel, and make sure you subscribe so that when those TV shows come out, you're going to be able to rewatch all the jam-packed racing action from this season. Boy, I'm excited for those TV shows to come out, Tim, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Dustin got it. Comes up with it, and Speed Sport 1 is on most of your streaming platforms, so you can go just about anywhere to find it and look up F1 Powerboat.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to send things down to the pits with Kay Myers as she's with the 17 of Dylan Anderson. Kay?
You know, this F1 Powerboat Championships 2015 series has been phenomenal, but we're coming down to the wire, and these drivers are driving to the extreme. Dylan, you were stuck in back traffic on the start. You were able to maneuver through the rest of the pack, but you had a great battle with Dustin Terry, and in turn 2, I don't know how you even made it through turn 2. There was no lane, and all of a sudden here you came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was tight racing the entire race. I mean, we come into the start and just got a little tight, kind of lost room to go and held back, tried to make it and, make up ground later rather than wreck it in the beginning, right? So we battled our way through and, kind of got around a couple guys we needed to get around and then finally caught up to Dustin and Jeremiah battling together. And, they were pushing hard and Jeremiah looked like he probably made a mistake or something happened. Bunch of pretty nasty little waves out there too, so there's no telling. I mean, he might have been doing what he was supposed to, and a wave just came up and said, "Nah, not today." But glad I got around him. I don't know how that'll do for points for the start, but yeah, I'm glad we were able to battle with some fun guys to race with and make it as high up as we did.
You started your season off a little bit rough, but you have slowly but surely inching up onto that podium for the top high points for the F1 Powerboat Championships. Do you think you can nab it up by the end of the day?
It really doesn't matter what I do. It matters what the other guys do in order to, have a chance at winning that championship. So I would never wish bad on them, but, if they break, they break. So we're going to do what we can and hope things work out our way.
You've got a great crew behind you. You got a lot of people to thank for that for coming around here and being able to work your way up through this fleet. Who you got to thank?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our crew's awesome. My mom, dad, they're all family at this point, right? You can't just call them friends anymore. But Patrick, Jonathan, Carabeth, my fiance, my baby, he doesn't do a whole lot of work, but he picks up a wrench every now and again and throws it across for us. Messiah made it down for the first time in a little while. Been busy with his deal, but we got a full crew, Charlie, Darlene, everybody. I mean, we just got all kinds of people helping us, and I just get in the boat and go.
Well, I'm going to let you get back down into that crew. You got some data to look over from that last heat, and we're hopefully going to be handing over a checkered flag at the next heat for the final.
Thank you very much.
That's Dylan Anderson of Anderson Marine, and the number 17. Keep an eye out for him. Thomas, Tim, back to you.
All right, thanks, Kay. The 17 of Dylan Anderson, he's going to have a little bit of luck on his side here in the main event, but he's done a lot. Will he be on the pole, or will it be the 01 of Dustin Terry? And then there's the 52 of Chris Rinker. He came into this weekend 11 points back. He's going to be starting back probably in third or fourth after a rough heat number 2 yesterday afternoon. Boy, it's going to be interesting, Tim. And, coming up, the one thing I don't see is where are all our Formula Lights drivers? I think we got the Formula Lights final coming up here, but it looks like
they're lining up.
It looks like we're trying to get all those boats back into the water here as they're going to start loading here momentarily. Looks like they got a little bit behind the 8-ball here in the Formula Lights class. We're going to have to get those drivers loaded. But for those of you who are here locally, don't forget to swing by the Big Blue Building here at the Baytown Boat Club and grab some of their famous fried chicken. They've got fried chicken, green beans, and mashed potatoes, just $15, along with fried potato chips for just $5. And don't forget that 50-50 raffle. They're giving away a red golf cart, a $10 pull, or $1 each. The club gets half, you get half, so might as well have some fun and possibly put some money back in your pocket. Well, Tim, we got the Formula Lights lined up, and Formula Lights are coming into the water here momentarily, and it's going to be a fun race. Now, the 12 of Shelby Love, sounds like she did have a hole in her boat after the first qualifying heat this morning. That's what caused her to pull off the race course, but it sounds like they got it fixed. I wonder what happened. It might have been her and the 30 of Ashton Caffarelli getting together in the early moments of that final qualifying heat.
It could have been, but they got it fixed now. I see that she's in her boat waiting to be backed in, so that's all good news. She's still got to run the final, and guess what? All the preliminaries are done. This is what it's all about, and not only for this weekend, but your season.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely understand where you're coming from there. They're getting the 12 of Shelby Love ready and getting her strapped into that Hoffman composite. I'm curious, Tim, are we going to see more of these Hoffman composites come off the production line? Because, boy, she has really turned some heads here in 2025.
I know one team that I can't say that has one coming, so you're going to see a few more of these, yes.
Well, and it's what a fantastic piece of craftsmanship. And what I really love is the unique design of the rear cowling, how it goes over the motor. I wonder if that gives any performance because you don't have any of that swirling air right around the back of the motor, or does it just look really cool?
I think it's aesthetics, yeah.
But you know,
without a doubt, Rick builds a quality boat, and you know they're durable, they're fast, and they're safe. So
absolutely,
that's the big thing.
And this brings him back to his early days where here he cut his teeth building boats as he started and was one of the premier Formula Lights boat builders throughout the 1990s. JH Performance Boats. Custom-made, classic, shallow water boats built from scratch, offering a direct and personalized experience from start to finish. They provide exceptional service and support, having an unmatched reputation while paying close attention to detail with quality construction, expert knowledge, and outstanding performance. Moto Marketing Group, accelerating brands for over 35 years. From developing some of the most famous boat and race team graphics that look fast to websites that run fast. Moto Marketing Group is your one-stop marketing shop for branding, vehicle wraps, websites, photography, and print design. They do it all professionally for a great price. Check them out online at motomarketinggroup.com.
Racing Communications. They're radios for racing.
Seaway Marine, the Formula Light sponsor here in 2025 on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series, operates out of a 62,000 square foot warehouse that is packed with current OEM parts, aftermarket parts, and vintage hard-to-find parts. They ship over 100,000 packages all over the United States, providing same-day shipping on in-stock orders. Seaway staff is arguably the most knowledgeable in the industry. With decades of experience, Seaway prides itself in excellent customer service. Make Seaway Marine your first call or text for all your marine part needs. 425-412-4006 or online at seawaymarine.com. Seabold Sports, world champion powerboat racing since 1939. Find more on the legendary Seabold family at seaboldsports.com.
From an early age, we race. It's part of who we are. It's in our DNA. For some, the need to keep pushing fuels our lives. At VP Racing, we pour everything we have into creating the industry's best products. For those who put it all on the line, whether it's the track or the trail or wherever you race, they say you can't win them all, but you can sure as hell try. VP Racing. Win every race.
B&B Racing. one of the world's premier Formula Light powerboat racing teams and one of the most dominant forces on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series Formula Lights class. GT Environmental Finance is an experienced environmental market brokerage company specializing in transaction and advisory services in the field of sustainable development. Incubex, with a unique mission to develop and improve new and existing environmental commodities with their exchange and technology partners. These products include global, environmental, reinsurance, and weather-related commodities. IVG Energy, an industry-leading brokerage specializing in liquid petroleum-based commodities, renewables, environmental products, and energy. From their headquarters in Houston, Texas, to and from locations around the world, they deliver quality results for their clients with forthright honesty, pioneering vision, and a get-the-job-done tenacity. Merix is a diversified global financial services platform providing essential liquidity market access and infrastructure services to clients in the energy, commodities, and financial markets. With more than 40 offices across all major exchanges and technology-powered data and advisory services, Merix is your essential partner. TP ICAP Group is a world-leading liquidity and data solutions specialist. They connect clients to liquidity seamlessly and responsibly across financial and commodity markets globally. Through a full range of brokering protocols, they also provide clients with the data and analytics they need to do business better.
Cereal is soup? Absolutely not.
As far as I'm concerned, it is.
No. Is cereal a soup? I mean, yeah, I guess technically so.
No.
No, it's not.
No, of course not.
No.
A soup? No. It's a grain. Oh, let's see. A crab probably has like maybe 8 legs.
I have not a clue.
6. I think 8.
I have no idea. I don't see them when we're flying by at 120 miles an hour.
6. 8.
8.
Ooh, crab. I'm going 8. That's a great number, by the way. Fruit that starts with B. That's tough. Why can't I think of that? Banana. Banana. No, but banana was a fruit for a second.
Banana. Is that a vegetable?
B. Blueberry. Jason's bananas.
Banana.
Is there a fruit that starts with a B?
B. Banana.
Banana.
You know I'm from the city, so we don't play with goats too much down in California. I don't know what a guy. I don't.
Oh, that's tough. Something like that.
Bleat, right? Spell like that? Ba. Ba. Goat?
A goat?
Man, it baws. Ba. Ba.
The fainting goat. Blackie? Jason. Because he does that all the time.
Zipper.
Ooh. Corky.
Flipper.
Oh, man. Flipper. Flipper, of course.
Lazarus.
Oh, can't do flipper. That's too typical. I don't know. Bobber.
Netflix.
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 Oh man, Netflix.
Netflix.
Hulu.
Apple.
Spotify.
Spotify.
Pandora.
Spotify.
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 Apple Music all the way.
Spotify.
Spotify.
Night Owl.
Neither.
Night Owl.
Early riser and a night owl.
Night owl.
Early, yeah, both.
Night owl.
Ooh, both.
Both.
Night owl.
Pizza.
Tacos. Both. No, if you made a pizza taco, that'd be cool. But pizza.
Pizza.
Tacos.
Tacos.
Pizza. That's for the late nights.
Both.
Lake racing.
Lake racing. Lake racing.
Lakes.
Lake racing all day.
Lakes.
Lake.
Ooh, river racer. I like to get down and jump, log jump.
Lake racing.
Lake racing.
Both. Oh, Thomas Howard Yarborough. But K, really. Oh, K. I'm not answering that one.
Tommy boy.
Tommy, for sure.
Thomas Yarborough.
Thomas. Sorry, K-Dub.
Both.
Oh, don't make me choose. That's rude. I love you both.
Here you go, 8-Ball. Will I have a debris-free weekend? Very successful. Without a doubt.
It is definitely so.
Outlook, not so good.
Outlook good.
My sources say no.
You may rely on it.
Very doubtful. I think this thing is lying.
Yes!
Outlook good.
8-Ball, will I win the Alton Midwest Nationals? Outlook good.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Without a doubt, baby.
Outlook not so good. I don't like this ball.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Very doubtful. I'm not liking this thing.
Yes.
Don't count on it. I'm okay with it. That don't mean nothing.
Am I going to be the fastest one out there? Outlook good.
Better not tell you now. Don't count on it. We'll see.
As I see it, yes.
Better not tell now.
It is certain.
As I see it, yes.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
From newcomers to family dynasties, competitors will be faced with tough competition on the water. Last year's winner, Dustin Terry, is back and ready to hold down his title. While our drivers have been busy tuning their boat, many of them have been putting in time testing and refining during the off-season.
We're probably the best one just because of the hours we have on the motor itself. Everybody gets to coattail off of my stuff because when they call Dave, I've been testing for him for 2 years, you know, so they get the same propellers I get and they don't have to do any of the work.
While RJ West and his team have been busy refining their boats, veteran Chris Rinker is more concerned about port niches and the conditions they'll be driving in.
There's a little less air running down the back straightaway, so the boat doesn't want to lift and fly like I like it to, but coming down the other direction, it's a little bit quite the opposite.
Others, like Dylan Anderson, are excited to be here and might have his own plan to build a dynasty, much like the Rinkers.
Having my son last year and getting to bring him to all the races, give him a car or a motorcycle or a boat toy, and he makes engine noises, and so he's screwed already. He's already got gearhead in his blood, right?
And while Dylan Anderson has struggled to find himself in first place, he's maintained a great attitude.
Some of the good things about being second in the points championship for the last 3 years in a row, we're not third in the points championship, which we were the year before that. So we moved up a spot. We've just been staying there for a little while.
As these drivers fight for their spot on the leaderboard, they'll have to contend with the Outlaws, Dustin Terry, Jeremiah Mayo, Grant Schubert, and Travis Yates. From veterans to rising stars, this season is shaping up to be one of the most competitive yet. As this season unfolds, each driver will have a chance to leave their mark. Only one name will come out on top.
You know, between races, the biggest part of our setup is propellers, because that's the one thing that you can change anything you want about. I'm running a 4-stroke, so there's not a lot of tuning that we can do to the engines. It's all sealed, comes from Mercury. It does give us a little bit of an advantage up here in this higher altitude because everybody's down on horsepower. So all those carbureted guys are constantly changing air jets and fuel jets, trying to get the perfect mixture to make that motor run as good as it can with this thin air. You know, luckily the computer and our motor does all that work for us. So majority of our tuning is all propellers. We test different propellers throughout the day. That's what today's all about, is testing. So we run through, different propellers. So once you figure out how to drive this thing, they're a lot of fun, and they're reliable, and they're a great package, but they are different from what everyone was used to.
So in between
testing sessions, we'll come back in. Normally we bring 3 or 4 props with us to the water. We'll run them, get some lap times through them all, do a couple starts, see which one leaves the dock better. We'll come in and we'll change weight, see if we want to take weight out of the nose, put weight in the nose, in the back of the boat, remove weight, try and get it right on that weight point to where the boat handles, drives, does everything that you want it to do. Throw some more fuel in the boat. Typically you burn a buttload of fuel whenever you're out there just because the throttle is never lifted most of the time. So it's all or none most of the time. The 2 strokes, I mean, you come in after testing and you check timing, you change jets, fuel jets, air jets, just everything. Make sure your carburetors are good. Open up the motor, see if the spark plugs are burning right, if they're burning too wet, too dry, kind of see where that is on that. And then also change your prop on that boat. So those are a lot more technical. Up here in Colorado, this is kind of the favorite motor just because you go and turn the key on, it adjusts itself to the altitude, to the temperature, to the dryness, to everything.
So anytime you have a new boat, there's always going to be some, I won't call them gremlins, but just things that need to happen after you get them on the water. Steering cables loosen up, they stretch, so we're going in to tighten our cables up. We'll typically charge the batteries and make sure that they're hot before we get out there. That's an embarrassing one when you get down there and it doesn't fire. So we do a pretty good job. Actually, we do a great job of that. I've got a great team. They do an outstanding job keeping me, at least prepared and calm and know that everything's going to be right when I get in the water.
All right, so after free practice, what we usually come in after laps, we usually run data. So we download data first. We begin charging 24-volt batteries. That lists the first 2 things right out of the bag. Then I'll jump in the cockpit. I'll kind of remove stuff around, rearrange stuff, maybe add some padding, move this or that. We go through the battery compartments, fuel tank, make sure everything's on trim pumps, wires are good, nice and tight. Because out there with 4Gs at 130, it rattles pretty good. And then we start looking at propellers. Propellers are very similar to what we do with gear ratio, like a tire or a gear in a car. So the propeller, we might go smaller, it might go bigger. We'll look at nodes, we'll look at data, we'll look at punch, we'll look at 0 to 500, 0 to 1,000, 0 to 1,500 feet. What was our best? What do we think is going to beat it? And then we map out a game plan and try and beat it the next free practice. We'll get everything bolt-on ready, rear cowling, fuel on the boat, and then basically we put our slings on. So it's a 3-point sling system. It's basically called a harness. You put the slings on, we pull forward on the dolly, and then the side-by-side pulls it up to that, and then I'll attach it, they'll lift it up, lay it in the boat. As soon as it goes into the water, I'll get in the cockpit and do everything set up, which would be an aim set up, turn that on, my harness, and then my Hans and the radios, and then I'll fire off and take off.
All right, race fans, welcome back as we're getting our Formula Lights ready to go for their main event here at the final round of 2025. Who is going to be the Formula Lights champion? It could be that young woman on the water. Let's take a look at a little bit more in-depth on who is the 12 of Shelby Love.
I'm Shelby Love. I'm 19 years old. I've been racing. This is my 3rd year in 45, and we're from California. In order to get better in this class, it's definitely a process. For me, it took a lot of just changing things with my boat and just learning my boat more than anything, because my dad, he races F1 and he's raced 45 before, so he knows the class, but this is a whole new boat for everyone. So it was a learning curve for all of us and not something they could have just told me what to do, and we all had to learn together in a way. The season's definitely going a lot better than I anticipated. I was hoping for a win and have my first win this year, but I definitely wasn't expecting to do as well as I did. I think once we figured it out, though, it just all started to click and we were just up there. So there's been a lot of ups and downs. We had a lot of fun, but it's also been some of the hardest parts of our lives. Obviously, we lost someone that we were all really close with and raced with us, and he helped us do so much, and he was a big part of our lives, so that was really hard, but we keep doing it for him. We know he'd be mad if we just stopped racing, so that definitely pushed us to keep trying, and we both won a Nationals in Springfield where it happened, so that meant a lot to us. So as hard as it's been, we've been trying to look at the positives and just do our best and do it all for him. So that's definitely been one of our hardest things we've gone through, but we just got to keep pushing and know that we got to keep doing what we love and do it for him. Yeah, winning this year for the series championship would mean the most to me, obviously. We worked at it hard the years before and traded one in 2024, so it would mean a lot to win this year and be able to do that. I'd really love to win the series. It's hard because obviously we missed Marble Falls, or one of the days of Marble Falls. So to get those points back has been really hard, and me and Mark have been close the whole season, so that was a big gap and big lead for him, is just those 2 races that I missed. So I'm trying not to push it and do something stupid and lose too many points, but also try to see how close I can get and really try to push him to be able to get that points lead. We always talked about winning the series and getting in the hall together on our drives back, and we'd always get yelled at by my dad, don't talk about the hall, don't talk about that until you start winning a nationals or winning this. And so it's something that we both really want to do, and I think it really means a lot to be able to do it this year, if any year. Everyone keeps asking me in the future if I'd want to race F1, and honestly, it just seems so scary. I really want to just keep pushing at 45 and see what else we can do and try different things, and just keep practicing, because I don't want to just get good at one thing and move on to the next. I kind of want to keep racing Mark and keep going back and forth and see what the next couple of years might be like and what we can do and keep doing. So.
All right, that was a little bit more in-depth on the young woman out of Santa Rosa Valley, California. You know, a little bit of a different feel for Shelby, obviously, through the rest of 2025. And, you know, I got to give a big shout-out to her. She's also running here this weekend for a great foundation, Bright Like Lucy. What a fantastic foundation it is. Lucy was one of those young women who got caught up in the floods in Central Texas earlier this summer, and her family's here, and we thank Shelby so much. Obviously, they share some strategy here in 2025, and it's so great that she's out there promoting a fantastic foundation in Bright Like Lucy. All right, we've got our final boat lined up on the start dock, Tim, and it is going to be a doozy, and no surprise, the man from Greenfield, Wisconsin, running for Pizza Inn, is in a very familiar place on the pole here for the main event.
Well, Mark's run good all weekend. He's very consistent. He's been at the top of the running order every single heat. So he's the man on pole, and he's going to be tough to beat from there. He gets off the docks so well, so it's going to be one of those things that I don't think she can jump him off the dock, especially where she's starting from. And she's going to have to work her way up. And even Mark's teammate, Brandon, is starting in, the second position? Or is Jose then the second? So he's going to be right in there.
Oh, absolutely. And it's, it's hard. Nobody ever likes seeing Mark Schmierbach on the pole at all. But except for the 35 of Mark Schmierbach, he really likes that. Let's take a look at our starting lineup for the Formula Lights main event here for the final round of 2025. Again, on the pole. On the pole is the number 35 of Mark Schmierbach.
Jose's got a good starting position in second. Brandon in third, and those two boats have been coming off the beach very well. So it's going to be interesting.
How about the young 30 of Ashton Caffarelli, the kid stepping over from stock outboard here in 2025. He's gotten tangled up into a couple of different wrecks, but boy, he's really starting to move up the grid and really putting together some solid performances, is the young driver out of Illinois.
What a big difference, though, because he started the season by blowing it over in testing. So he's come full circle, and he's doing a good job. He's learning as we're going, and that's a valuable aspect to the Formula Lights.
Absolutely. And then fifth off the start dock, she's got some ground to make up here, is the 12 of Shelby Love. Behind her, 6 off the start pontoon, the young driver out of Redlands, California, the 01 of Jake McKee. Behind him in that number 78, silver and orange and purple trimmed Molagard Formula Light is the 78 of Marshall Gildermaster, the San Antonio native. And then behind him, the rookie out of Tennessee, the number 52 of Addison Dumford. Right behind him in ninth, the 8 of Jack Schubert, stepping into a Formula Lights, pulling double duty just like his older brother did a few years ago, with the 8 of Jack Schubert starting in the 9th position. And rounding out the top 10, the man from Santa Fe, Texas, running that number 17, they call it Sexy Blue, that's Mr. Chris Hughes. And rounding out the field here in the final few positions, in the 11th position, with the motor troubles continuing to pop up everywhere for the 2 of Travis Thompson. He starts 11th, and the young rookie out of St. Louis, Missouri, in that number 1 Clover construction machine, Miss Carissa Saddle.
Well, it's really encouraging that we have such a great group of young people that are getting into racing.
Absolutely. All right, looks like we're ready to go. Just got word from Chief Referee Doug Ray coming up on the 1 minute gun. 1 minute, drivers, 1 minute. Will the 35 of Mark Schmierbach in pole position wrap up the 2025 championship here? Can he come off the dock with some speed and pull out in front early? 50 seconds, drivers, 50 seconds. What about the 26 of Jose Mendaña Jr.? He would love to get by the 35 of Mark Schmierbach and finish the season on a high note. Can he do it here in the final? 40 seconds, drivers, 40 seconds. Then it's the other half of Pizza Inn, the 60 of Brandon Bobolic. Can he find his first victory at the end of the season at his hometown race? We're going to find out here in just a second. 30 seconds, drivers, 30 seconds. Then it's the 30 of Ashton Caffarelli. And then there's the 12 of Shelby Love. Can she pull a rabbit out of the hat? Let's crown a champion here at the San Jacinto. Let's crown a champion in Formula Lights in 2025. 20 seconds, drivers. You're under starters orders. The flag is up. He drops the flag. The first flag, the 35 of Schmierbach gets a great jump. So does the 26 of Mendaña and the 60 of Bobolic. They the three pull away from the dock side by side by side.
Wow, perfect conditions. And look at the top three boats are neck and neck going to the first turn. And somebody's coming from way outside.
Oh, no, it looks like the 26 of Mendaña had to slow down a little bit. He got pinched down to the inside by the 60 of Bobolic, but no surprise, coming out with that pole position. The 35 of Mark Schmierbach finds that clean water and gets out early as his teammate, the 60 of Bobolic, goes side by side with the 26 of Jose Mendaña Jr. And then there's the 01 of Jake McKee all over him here in the opening lap of this Formula Lights.
Jake's looking for a way to get in between Jose and Brandon, so he's trying to go up the inside, but let's see if there's room into three. Oh, he has to go over the rooster tail, so it was just too tight for him to turn in there.
As he now comes tight off the pin there, going side by side. Here comes the 12 of Shelby Love now without all that extra water in her boat. Boy, that thing looks a lot faster going wide to the outside.
It does, and she's going to stay on the outside and use her speed, and she does not want to get tangled up with the three in front of her.
Absolutely. Now she's going to go side by side with the 01 of Jake McKee. She's running the outside lane 4. He's down in lane 1. They got some room between them. Let's see what's going to happen down there in turn 3. Oh, no. McKee skips out a little bit in through the wake of the 60 of Bobolic, and that's going to allow the 12 of Shelby Love to get a nose ahead. And
side
she might
by
be able
side.
to move over here on this front straightaway as we push into this, again, 15 minutes plus 1 lap final here in Formula Lights. Oh, no, the 2 of Travis Thompson dead in the water down between turns 1 and 2. You see him there as he flashes on the screen. The gremlins continue for the driver out of Humboldt, Texas. This is a weekend he would definitely like to forget. But
Shelby's got a little speed on him coming into the wind, so she's got that thing set up. She's sliding to the outside, but not way outside, so that way she can not give up too much real estate.
Absolutely. She's now trying to track down the other half of the Pizza Inn B&B Racing team, the rookie, the 60 of Brandon Bobolic, in that all-white Pew-designed Formula Light. And she's trying to track him down, but, boy, nobody has an answer right now for Mark Schmierbach. He is way out in front in the clean water. But, Tim, here in this longer format, it's 15 minutes plus 1 lap. All that can change when you start to get into some of those slower back markers here in Formula Lights.
Well, you get into slower back markers. You also get fatigue. So we'll see how it goes, Mark's the elder statesman out there. So if anybody's going to get, have a chance to get fatigued, it would be Mark, but he knows what to do and how far to push it.
Absolutely. Well, he's also a man who's probably run more Bay City River Roars from back in the day than anybody else. And if you can handle 30-plus laps on the Saginaw River, the battle on the San Jacinto River seems a little bit tamer than that here in Southeast Texas.
So the battle for third is heating up as Shelby closes in on Brandon Bobolic. And, he's staying tight and he's protecting his line, and she's got to let it roll on the outside. So 2 different setups. We're going to have to see how it plays out.
Absolutely. Does that outside line take a lot of patience? It seems like you got to have a lot more patience to slowly reel in somebody when you want to run that outside line trying to find the clean water versus going pin to pin the short way around the course.
Well, some of the courses we race on, you've got to stay in one lane or the other. But in this particular course, the way the corners are set up, you can swing on the long straightaway, the back straightaway and the front straightaway. You can swing to the outside, lane 2, lane 3, and you're still fine. But you want to be tight, at least in lane 2, in the corners.
Absolutely. As we look at Bobala continuing to battle with the 12 of Shelby Love. Both those white, one wood, one composite, one a Pugh, one a Hoffman. And talk about Pugh and Hoffman designed Formula Lights, two of the probably the most preeminent Formula Lights boats in the history of the class, built by Rick Hoffman and formerly a Gary Pugh. I believe now those boats down in Tampa, Florida with the Mendanas. It's going to be an interesting race for the rest of the afternoon with those two as we go overhead outside the 12 of Shelby Love. Now she's really wanting to get into that wash, but really struggling. And the 26 of Mendana is still 3.5 seconds behind the 35 of Schmierbach. But I think, Tim, that might end up being a battle here in just a few laps.
I think it will, and I think Jose in the second position is moving up a little bit on him. So keep an eye on number 26, which is your second position of Jose Medina, and see if he can pull up a little bit on number 35, Mark Schmierbach. But you see it came down already that last lap.
Yeah, he's down just almost under 3-second gap, so he closed about a half a second there on that lap. Can he nip another half a second here on the next lap? But now the 12 of Shelby Love, she's got to go down tight to the inside, gets hosed down by the 60 of Brandon Bobalik on the north end of the course, coming down through turns 1 and 2. Now we go overhead on the 17 of Chris Hughes as he's continuing to push it down the back straightaway, trying to jockey for position as he's sitting there back in 7th position, continuing to fight hard. But these two drivers right here have been locked in a battle all race long as the 60 of Brandon Bobalik trying to hang on and bring some hardware just up the road 5 minutes to Crosby, Texas, as he's trying to end his season on a high note on the podium here at his home race at the Baytown Boat Club.
Well, as this race goes longer and longer, you're going to see the leaders have to lap faster and faster boats as they work their way up the order. So that's going to be really interesting. Right now, you've got your leader, Mark Schmierbach, goes wide in turn 1. Jose closes up a ton by staying on the buoys. We've got 2 lappers right in front of them, so that's going to make a difference.
Absolutely. We talked about this earlier this weekend, how sometimes being that second place boat, when you go into the lap markers, can make it even easier for you to get through that back traffic quicker than even the leader.
That's right, because Jose is pulling right up on him now, so this is getting very interesting. And that's what Shelby needs, because she's making a move for third right now.
Yeah, she goes wide to the outside as he's going to stay with the 26 of Mendana. There you see he's on the inside now. Schmierbach cutting down that lane. And now here we go back to the battle for third. Bobalik now down to the inside. Oh, no, Shelby Love spins out.
Oh, she spun it out.
Down in turn number 1, pushing it to the limit, trying to get by the 60 of Brandon Bobalik. And, oh, no, she might have lost power down there after she spun it out down in turn number 1. That has got to be frustrating for the young woman out of Santa Rosa Valley, California. She got it running, but everybody's going to have to go way wide to the outside. Now Mendana goes down to the inside. This could be a huge move for the 26 of Mendana, because the 35 of Schmierbach had to go wide to the outside, and the 26 of Mendana was able to sneak down to the inside, as it looks like the 12 of Shelby Love is not going to be able to, and there it is. Red flag on the course, red flag on the course. The 12 of Shelby Love unable to get that Clover Construction machine back under power after spinning out down there in turn number 1, doing battle with the 60 of Brandon Bobalik. That has got to be a frustrating way to end your 2025 season.
It is, but it wasn't from lack of effort, because she pushed it extremely deep into turn 1 to complete that pass, and she had it done, but it just hooked up on her a little bit in the rough water, and her day comes to an end, unfortunately. She had a fantastic season, so they got to be proud of that, although that's not going to show up right this minute.
No, it won't. It's going to definitely take a little bit of time for her to, allow everything to calm down. You can imagine that woman is very, very frustrated inside the cockpit of that Hoffman Formula Lights. She was so close, but, the one thing hopefully she takes from this is really the amount of momentum and the amount of growth that she has had here in 2025 has been absolutely tremendous. And I think everybody is shaking in their boots for 2026, because she's going to come into next year with even more gusto, with even more grit and determination, as she had that goal of being the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series Formula Lights champion. And unfortunately, that one thing is the only thing she's not going to be able to grab here in 2025.
Well, they'll come back bigger and better, but right now we got a heck of a race on our hands. Jose Medina Jr. was pulling up on Mark Schmierbach. This is not over by any means.
right? Now, it's interesting, right? You have kind of a double-edged sword dynamic here. So Jose was gaining a lot of ground. He had the momentum. They were starting to get into back markers, which, as we've talked about, at times can put the second-place boat, which in this case is the 26 of Mendana, in a better spot than Schmierbach. Well, now we're going to go into a rolling start here for this restart in the Formula Lights final. So Jose is going to be a lot closer to him, and he doesn't have to close that ground. But now the 35 of Schmierbach is going to have a ton of clean water before they get back into some of that back traffic again. Clean water, perfect conditions, nobody in front of you. And he'll have pole on the inside. Exactly. So it's going to be
Mark Schmierbach's got the upper hand right now, for sure.
And the question is will the 26 of Mendana, will his prop choice maybe be a little bit better for top end than the 35 of Schmierbach? Because Schmierbach, everybody knows the goal was to get to the clean water and get out front off the dock. When you don't have that, and this might be something that you can really give us a lot more insight in on, Tim, is how different is it when you have a rolling start like that where you're 2x2 versus having to go back to the dock and you can't utilize that prop that you maybe picked for a specific task, which was to get off that dock and get to the first corner?
Well, hopefully Jose went a little taller on his prop because the rolling start kind of takes that initial lunge that you'd have on a dock start out of it. So Jose's going to be right next to Mark. They're going to be doing a rolling restart, and he's got to just stay right on his hip.
And it looks like the 60 of Brandon Bobalik, maybe him and the 12 of Shelby Love got together there. Sounds like he's got a hole in his boat. The question is can they get that boat out of the water and get that damage repaired, or is it going to be on that under-running side of the boat, especially on the left side? That could be a disastrous end for the local driver here at his hometown race in the number 60 of Brandon Bobalik.
Well, hopefully we'll get a view of that here to see what we have and see if he can make it back in for the race. I sure hope he can, especially on your hometown race.
Absolutely. Also looks like we lost the 30 of Ashton Caffarelli as well. He's getting towed in. So, boy, the rescue team on full alert here in Formula Lights as he's getting towed in right there behind our one of our rescue boats. Got to be a frustrating day for that young driver. Again, he started off the season with an interesting note, blowing it over in testing. This is not how he wanted to finish his 2025 season.
No, nobody wants to get towed in at the last race of the season. You want a little momentum. You'd like to finish the season strong so that way everybody is motivated and you've got, everybody's going to work hard for the winter so that you can come out bigger and better in 2026.
Look at the damage there. Now that's on the back left corner of that Formula Light. That's got to be a very disadvantaged, just a worst place to have some damage on a Formula Lights boat.
It is, but that's on the other side from where Shelby spun out. So that must have happened earlier in the race. Let's say maybe in the first turn.
Yeah.
And that could have been holding them back the whole race.
And that may have been why the 12 of Shelby Love was able to start gaining ground on him so quickly. It's amazing, what a gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. And it doesn't take very long for a couple of gallons of water to get inside these race boats when you do have some damage sustained, like the 60 of Brandon Bobalik. And we've talked about it earlier. You don't have the power to really power through any of that water in the boat. And that's going to make it really difficult for the 12 of Bobalik. All right, looks like we're down on the dock with our pit reporter, Kay Myers, and she's down there to give us some updates on all the carnage here in the Formula Lights main event. Kay?
That's being pretty light about it, Thomas. These boats are breaking down right and left inside the compartment of these engines, and they're putting holes inside of these boats, all trying to catch up with the number 35. We've got a big hole in the side of the 60 of Bobalik, but I see 4 to 5 teams over there working on that. And it looks like the 30 of Ashton Caffarelli, unfortunately, may be done for the day, but he's another crew right there working with him. Travis Thompson, unfortunately, having issues as well. It's going to be an interesting thing if we can get all of our fleet back out here for the Formula Lights.
Absolutely, Kay, that's for sure. You look at the water continuing to pour out of the back of that pizza in number 60 of Brandon Bobalik. They've got the duckbills off, and they are letting that water fly out the back. The real question is, Tim, is You know, duct tape is a boat racer's best friend at this stage of the game. It's really the only recourse that you have to try to patch that boat. That's a lot of water in there. And the worry that I see here is even if you patch it when you get back out, is that going to put so much stress and pressure on the boat that thing's going to come apart on you as you try to finish the main event?
Well, it could definitely do further damage, but at this point, at the last race of the year, they're going to go for it. You know, it's coming out both sponsons, the water on Brandon's boat, so it wasn't just the one side. So he might have a little love tap on each side from two different people on that thing.
Well, that happens. You know, the rubbing is racing, as they say. Even here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series, our drivers push it to the limit, and sometimes that means they get together. But, boy, the afternoon continues to just get better for the 35 of Mark Schmierbach, as well as the 26 of Mendana, because with some of these damage sustained to some of these hulls, you got to imagine Mendana is telling himself, and his crew chief is on the radio saying, hey, listen, Jose, this is a two-dog fight right now. It's you and Mark. Get after it. Try to hunt him down. You can see there's some of the marks on the side there. They're covering up with the white duct tape to try to get that thing sealed as best they can. And, boy, duct tape can do a lot. But, boy, it's amazing how much force the pressure of water can put on a race boat when they're out there running at top speed.
Yeah, but they're putting it on the deck, so the deck doesn't take nearly the force that the bottom does, and that's why they're able to do what they're doing. To see if they can get a final.
Absolutely. I'm just curious as to who he got together with down there in the back corner. You would have thought that, if he would have gotten together early, he wouldn't have been able to come out of that corner as well as he did in that third position. But a great job by Bobala getting out to it. And then finally with that restart, obviously, once he went off plane, that thing just started swallowing water.
Right. Once you're running and you're up on top of the water, you know, you got some deck damage like that, you're not even going to notice. Now, once he slows down, then the wheels fall off.
And I can imagine you've had that happen to you where you notice that there was some damage. You communicate with your radio team. You know, what is the protocol that you have to shift into if there is a red flag on the course when you know you do have damage like that?
Well, there's a couple different rules. One is that if during certain aspects of it, you're not allowed to do any changes. In this case, you know, they're allowing them to do it, which gets the boats back on the water, which is what we all want to see. Poor Travis coming in on the hook again. He's just had a miserable weekend, and hopefully he can maybe get back out there. But it's tough, and the longer you run, water pressure can blow the strongest laminates apart. So you have got to make sure that you don't have any seams, cracks, so that you can keep your boat in one piece.
Absolutely. I mean, you and I have obviously been around this for a very long time. We've all seen something that looked like a little benign crack or something in the boat. They touch, and then all of a sudden that boat turns and the whole sponson just peels off the side. It's amazing how immense water pressure is and how much damage it can do. I mean, we talked yesterday that the human body will skip across the water at 26 miles an hour. That's not very fast. That just tells you how hard and concrete that water can be, especially when you're running at speeds in excess of 70 miles an hour.
Well, hopefully we're going to get some of these guys back out on the water so we can restart this thing. Jose is chomping at the bit because he's got Mark right next to him, and it's a new race.
Absolutely. It looks like we're going to send it back down to our pit reporter, Kay Myers, as she's with one of our Formula Lights drivers who might have gotten caught up in some of the carnage here in the Formula Lights main event. Okay.
We're here with Ashton Caffarelli. Unfortunately, has had some fuel pump issues, but this is when we talk about boat racers, how they work together hand in hand. If you look, you're going to see that we're going to have Dunford, who unfortunately is having some major issues, is trying to rip his fuel pump off of his boat to put it back over here onto Caffarelli's boat so we can get Caffarelli out onto the course. So fuel pump issues over here, electrical issues over with Dunford, holes in the boats with Bobolic, and everybody is frantically working together to get all of our Formula Lights out on the course.
All right, well, they're working feverishly there to try to get that J. McBain Construction sponsored machine for Ashton Caffarelli back out on the water. It's unfortunate we saw the 52 of Addison Dumford. He had to park it before he even got to start the main event. That's got to be frustrating coming all the way down here to Southeast Texas from Tennessee. But that's what happens in racing. You can travel all the way across the country and end up watching from the sidelines.
Well, the brackish water is more conductive, and he had an electrical issue.
And that's something that we don't normally fight a whole lot here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. You know, the closest we get to a brackish water is in Port Neches, but we're a little bit too far up until we get here to the San Jacinto, right? And so that's got to throw a whole other element in that they've got to be consciously aware of here with this brackish water on the San Jacinto River. But, hey, it looks like they got that fuel pump fixed, and they're going to back the 30 of Caffarelli back in the water. And with all the carnage that has ensued here, potentially he could get back into a solid position to wrap up his 2025 season.
Looks like they're getting Shelby Love buttoned up as well. So she's going to go back in the water. Hopefully that cranks up and runs fine. And Travis Thompson is still in his boat, so I think he's just waiting for everybody else to get in the water, and then he's going to get back out there as well.
Well, and this brings us back to the race in, I believe it was the Alton Midwest Nationals this year. Shelby Love spun out down at the north end of the course. She caused the restart, but in an update to our rules here in the last handful of years, we will assess your penalty not at the end of the race, but during the race. So now with this restart, she's going to go to the back of the dock, but stay back of the pack, but stay on the lead lap. The real question is can she do like she's done before and run everybody else down? At least she's going to have an opportunity to try to get back on the podium here at the Formula Lights final for the final race of the year.
Well, I don't know if she's going to be on the lead lap or not. We're going to have to look at the scoring because they went around her a few times beforehand. So what they'll do is they'll come back one lap from the last official lap, and that's where they start from.
It's all going to be dependent on whether the 35 of Mark Schmierbach was able to complete 2 laps, but after the 30. Oh, no, the 26 of Jose Mendaña now being towed into the start dock. What is happening here in Formula Lights? They are dropping like flies here. They put it all on the line. They did everything that they could, and boy, is it just chaos here in Formula Lights at the final round of the 2025 championship. As they get the 26 of Mendaña pulled in, hopefully he'll get an opportunity to get that thing figured out. We're going to have to get some of these other trailers out of here. But the 12 of Shelby Love back out on the water, the 60 of Brandon Bobalik back out on the water, the 30 of Ashton Caffarelli back out on the water, the 2 of Travis Thompson finally got fired. I have never seen more carnage in a Formula Lights race here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series in many a year, as this brackish water and the high level of competition is just causing all sorts of damage and chaos here in our Formula Lights main event. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with the conclusion of our Formula Lights final here at the final round of 2025 on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. This is the battle on the San Jacinto. JH Performance Boats. Custom-made, classic, shallow water boats built from scratch, offering a direct and personalized experience from start to finish. They provide exceptional service and support, having an unmatched reputation while paying close attention to detail with quality construction, expert knowledge, and outstanding performance. Moto Marketing Group, accelerating brands for over 35 years. From developing some of the most famous boat and race team graphics that look fast to websites that run fast. Moto Marketing Group is your one-stop marketing shop for branding, vehicle wraps, websites, photography, and print design. They do it all professionally for a great price. Check them out online at motomarketinggroup.com.
Racing Communications. They're radios for racing.
Seaway Marine, the Formula Light sponsor here in 2025 on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series.
operates out of a 62,000 square foot warehouse that is packed with current OEM parts, aftermarket parts, and vintage hard-to-find parts. They ship over 100,000 packages all over the United States, providing same-day shipping on in-stock orders. Seaway staff is arguably the most knowledgeable in the industry. With decades of experience, Seaway prides itself in excellent customer service. Make Seaway Marine your first call or text for all your marine part needs. 425-412-4006 or online at seawaymarine.com. Seabold Sports, world champion powerboat racing since 1939. Find more on the legendary Seabold family at seaboldsports.com.
From an early age, we race. It's part of who we are. It's in our DNA. For some, the need to keep pushing fuels our lives. At VP Racing, we pour everything we have into creating the industry's best products. For those who put it all on the line, whether it's the track or the trail or wherever you race, they say you can't win them all, but you can sure as hell try. VP Racing. Win every race.
B&B Racing, one of the world's premier Formula Light powerboat racing teams and one of the most dominant forces on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series Formula Lights class. GT Environmental Finance is an experienced environmental market brokerage company specializing in transaction and advisory services in the field of sustainable development. Incubex, with a unique mission to develop and improve new and existing environmental commodities with their exchange and technology partners. These products include global, environmental, reinsurance, and weather-related commodities. IVG Energy, an industry-leading brokerage specializing in liquid petroleum-based commodities, renewables, environmental products, and energy. From their headquarters in Houston, Texas, to and from locations around the world, they deliver quality results for their clients with forthright honesty, pioneering vision, and a get-the-job-done tenacity. Merix is a diversified global financial services platform providing essential liquidity market access and infrastructure services to clients in the energy, commodities, and financial markets. With more than 40 offices across all major exchanges and technology-powered data and advisory services, Merix is your essential partner. TP ICAP Group is a world-leading liquidity and data solutions specialist. They connect clients to liquidity seamlessly and responsibly across financial and commodity markets globally. Through a full range of brokering protocols, they also provide clients with the data and analytics they need to do business better. V Racing, one of the world's premier Formula Light powerboat racing teams.
All right, race fans. Well, they are continuing to thrash down here on the start dock. We've got numerous boats working feverishly to try to get their Formula Lights back under power. Most surprising is the 26 of Jose Mendaña Jr. Didn't really see anything that would have caused concern for him as he was running hard, trying to get by the 60 of, trying to catch the 35 of Mark Schmierbach, the man who's led from the beginning. As they continue to push hard, looks like we're going to send things down to Kay Myers. She's got a little bit more in-depth information on what's going on here in the Formula Lights class. Take it away, Kay. Oh. All right, looks like we've got to get our mobile cam down there to be able to get audio to our pit reporter Kay Myers. We do apologize, but again, chaotic down here in the Formula Lights class. Boy, these little mosquitoes on the water, they buzz around on the water, and boy, they create a whole lot of havoc off the water. Boy, Tim, this is not something we've necessarily seen so far this year with so many boats having issues here in the main event in Formula Lights.
Now, it's the last race of the year, so some of the equipment is tired, and they're trying to stretch everything they can out of it, so we're just seeing a little of that carnage now because of it.
All right, we're going to send things now back down to Kay Myers, and she's going to give us a little bit more in-depth on what's going on with all these drivers here in Formula Lights. Take it away, Kay.
All right, I just talked to Jose Mendaña's crew chief asking what is going on over here, and they said major electrical issues. They're hoping it's just a starter. We've seen these gentlemen do this before where they were able to put a little bit of a tweak inside that motor and be able to get Jose back out there. He's had a great weekend so far. I want to see him back out here on the course to give Mark Schmierbach a run for his money. Thomas?
Thanks, Kay. Boy, that's frustrating here, Tim. You think that brackish water is coming into play. We've had a lot more electrical issues, it seems like, here in Formula Lights than we have all season long.
Oh, definitely. definitely has a negative effect on this, and especially Jose has worked his way up through the field a couple different times in the heat races. So he's going in and out of the wash, the rooster tails, and that sits there. It starts corroding, and it doesn't take long.
Yeah, it's amazing how much, how much the corrosive nature of salt water or even brackish water how much havoc it can wreak on a tunnel boat. I know that I've talked to numerous drivers that have gone over in larger accidents in brackish or salt water, and they've basically said, I had to strip every single electrical component, every single electrical wire out of the boat as I was rebuilding it, because they tell me it's the term I've always heard, it's kind of like chasing an invisible dragon. It's very hard to find.
Because it even gets in the wire casing.
And it's hard to, and you can't, a lot of times you can't, so inside the wire casing, you can't see the corrosion going on. And so that's why, and we've also seen a lot of our drivers go to these wiring harnesses where they're pre-built wires that they plug and snap together. And that seems like it makes it a lot easier for them to make those switchovers if and when they do get some of that salt or brackish water into their motor or electrical components.
Yeah, that's why you use something like a Deutsch connection. And that way it's a waterproof connection that you use, and the water can't go inside the wires. So not only on a crimped wire, but also inside the casing.
Yeah, especially with the amount of water pressure, right? I mean, if you were to dribble water on it, that's one thing, but the water being shot off the back of these motors and pressed onto that boat really can create a lot of force and really push that salt water past the crimp points and into that wiring harness, and clearly wreaking a lot of havoc for these drivers here in this final in Formula Lights.
A lot of guys will use tin copper wire instead of standard copper wire because it won't corrode like just regular copper wire.
When you said tin copper wire,
tin copper,
I guess I am not somebody who has any knowledge about electrical components whatsoever. So is that just a different metal component that still has the conductive natures of copper, but not the corrosive components? Okay,
yeah,
that makes sense. Now here's who I'm really curious about: the 60 of Brandon Bobolic. You notice him down there on the far end of the course. It's interesting to see the 60 of Brandon Bobolic. We watched him have all that duct tape and all the water drained out of his boat. Now with the Mendana getting towed in, and of course Brandon got a few minutes, so they're giving that equal footing to the 26 of Mendana. But boy, the 60 of Brandon Bobolic is having to sit there down on the south end of the course and kind of buzz that boat around and make sure it stays moving. I'm worried that patch is going to leak, and he's going to end up having way more water than he expected inside that boat, and that's going to make it real difficult to drive.
Nobody's going to know that until he starts getting on it. So he won't be able to tell now unless the boat's listing to one side or another, but it looks like Jose Madonna Jr. is getting back out there now.
Yeah, it looks like they've got the rear cowling on. They've got the motor cowling back on, and they are looking, and there you go, you see, they are looking to hopefully get him back fired and under power here in this Formula Lights main event. He has got to be absolutely frustrated. It looks like they're sending them all down to the far end of the course. Let's take a look at this new lineup here after all this chaos ensued. The man on the inside of row one is the man who started on the pole and has led every second of every lap here in this Formula Light main event, and the number 35 of Mark Schmierbach. On his outside hip, as long as he can get it fired here, will be the 26 of Jose Mendana Jr. If he can't, the 01 of Jake McKee moves up into that spot. But for right now, on the inside of row two is that all-red 01 Clover Construction of Jake McKee. And there we go. We hear the 26 of Mendana. He gets back under power. It looks like it was the starter. It looks like it very was much of that wash or that corrosive brackish water that wreaked some havoc. On the outside of row two is going to be the 78 of Marshall Gildermaster. Can he get his best finish of the season here in Formula Lights? And the inside of row three, the rookie out of Richmond, Texas, playing double duty here in 2025, Tri-Hall and Formula Lights. That's the 8 of Jack Schubert. And then in the 6th position, or outside of row three, the 17 of Chris Hughes. On the inside of row four, after taking on tons of water and really backing off the speed, it'll be the 60 of Brandon Bobolic. And then the 30 of Ashton Caffarelli. As if he can get back in the water, he's getting back in right now, so he's going to sit on the outside of row four. On the inside of row 5 is going to be the number 2 of Travis Thompson. And surprise, surprise, she's done it before. So the question is, can she do it again, Tim? She caused the restart, so she gets penalized the lap, but they didn't complete enough laps to put her more than one lap down. So she serves her penalty, goes to the back of the field. At least she's still got an opportunity to run them down and try to find her way onto the podium.
She does. It's extremely good fortune for the number 12. You know, Shelby dodged a bullet there, but let's see if she can come through the pack. She was running good. She wasn't as dominant as we have seen her before.
Nope.
But everybody else is running better as well. So it's going to come down to how much time we have left, and we'll see what can be done.
Absolutely, but she has done it before in round 3 at the Alton Midwest Nationals. She spun out down in on the north end of the course in turn number 1, and after spinning out, she caused the restart. She went to the back of the pack, and if you remember at your hometown race in Alton, Illinois, right across the river from St. Louis, she ran them all down all the way to the checkered flag. One of the most impressive performances I've seen in a really long time in Formula Lights.
Well, we still have half the race left, so there is some time.
All right, here we go. They've got them lined up 2 by 2. It looks like the 30 of Caffarelli and the 2 of Travis Thompson are going to have to start from the boat ramp and fall back in. So that means that the 12 of Shelby Love is going to scoot up one spot because Caffarelli is going to fall back to the final row. So you're going to see the 12 of Shelby Love get up a couple of positions up. Here we go. Jet Ski Jared pulls off, waiting for Chief Referee Doug Ray to drop the green flag. He drops the green flag, and there they go. The 26 of Mendana almost got out front of the 35 of Schmierbach as they go down into turn number 1, and we're going to have a doozy on our hands. And look at the 12 of Shelby Love immediately on the gas, on the outside, and blows by the 60 of Obalik, the 8 of Schubert, and the 78 of Gildermaster. She is on a tear, Tim.
Well, that start caught Jose Madonna in second place off guard because they were going slower than they normally do for a pace boat start. But Mark Schmierbach on the gas, hit it perfect. Now Jose's got to try and run him down, and here comes Shelby.
She's already up into 4th position, now hunting down the 01 of Jake McKee, but she's got to watch out because the man she tangled with for the first half of this race, the 60 of Obalik, is right there as well as they push down the backstretch. The 35 of Mark Schmierbach's got a sizable lead over the 26 of Mendana. Can he make up the ground? There we come overhead with our drone shot. There's Mendana, but then there's McKee and Clover Construction of Shelby Love, as well as the 60 of Obalik. We got those 3 boats fighting for the final spot on the podium. We're going to have a great final 8 minutes here at this main event in Formula Lights.
Brandon Babalik goes up the inside, and he pulls back up on Shelby. But, you know, she's on that outside line, which carries a little more exit, corner exit speed.
Yeah.
So she pulls him down the back straightaway.
And he continues to go pin to pin. He's not wanting to move outside, but now here the 12 of Shelby Love's got to deal with the 01 of Jake McKee, who's not wanting to run that inside line. He's out there in lane number 2. The question is how is she going to be able to get by that driver, as she's going to have to go so far wide around the outside, and I know she wants to do that for sure because that'll put her back on the podium.
Well, Jake's got his sights set on Jose Madonna in second. So he's going to run that tight line. Jose's staying out just a little bit. We're going to have to see how this plays out, and we'll keep watching the times and let you know if one is gaining on the other.
Yeah, it looks like the 26 of Mendana 4.5 seconds behind the 35 of Mark Schmierbach. The real question there is will Schmierbach end up running into some of those back markers here, because we've only got 5.5 minutes left in this main event in Formula Lights.
Yeah, the time is ticking, and Mark Schmierbach is loving that, you know.
Oh, absolutely. He's out there with the clean water. He's got that thing in cruise control. This is a position of comfort for him. He spent a lot of time out front, but look at the battle for that third and final spot as the 12 of Shelby Love now has had to change her line, and they're all trying to catch the man, and we're following overhead here, the 35 of Mark Schmierbach, but here he comes up on some of those back markers. Can the 26 of Mendana close the gap like he did in the first half before the big restart and put on a battle with the 35 of Mark Schmierbach, or will the driver out of Tampa, Florida, have to just hold on? Oh, no, the 30 of Ashton Caffarelli pulls into the infield. Boy, the issues continue for the driver from Illinois and that J. McMain sponsored entry. But no this driver right here is having absolutely no problems. The 35 of Mark Schmierbach has got this thing absolutely strolling here on the shores of the San Jacinto.
He does. He's got a little cushion from him back to Jose. You know, he's got a little over 4-second lead on him. So he can take his time passing these back markers. He doesn't have to put himself in a bad position. So he can pick and choose when he's going to run him down and pass him. And that way he doesn't put himself in trouble.
Absolutely. Looks like we got almost a full second knocked off the lead there by the 26 of Mendana. He went from 4.5 seconds back to 3.32 seconds back. The question is he going to run out of time? Because we're under the 5-minute mark with 4 minutes, 19 seconds, plus 1 lap remaining in this Formula Light main event as the 26 of Mendana is able to get by the rookie, the number 8 of Jack Schubert, and that number 8 Clover construction machine.
Well, they're a little spread out now. Jose is pulling up on him a little bit. He's got it down to under 3 seconds. So he is definitely gaining. Mark is coming up on Chris Hughes. So, look, every time you got to pass a back marker, it's going to take time. And you see Mark just went wide in turn 1. Jose's been able to run his same line, pulls up on him even more.
Absolutely, and then you notice there the 35 of Schmierbach goes down to the pin on turn number 2, which put the 26 of Mendana having to cross his wake. Those are the little things that are going to be super important. But let's take a look at that battle down there as the 35 of Schmierbach goes tight to the inside off of turn number 4. But look at there's that gray and orange. Mike Scott Plumbing Machine is right in his rearview mirror as we're going to see that lead by the 35 of Schmierbach down under a second. The 26 of Mendana, the Tampa Terror, is on a tear here in the finals. Will he have enough time to catch our leader, the 35 of Mark Schmierbach? Can he find himself on the top spot in the box? Only time will tell, Tim.
Well, Mark tried to use Chris Hughes as a pick, and Jose waited until they got into turn 1 and then went underneath him. So Mark kind of opened the door, and Jose went right through, and that allowed him to catch up on number 35 in first place, Mark.
Absolutely. It's a veteran move right there, right? A rookie's not going to know to patiently wait just a little bit longer before you make that move. Clearly, Jose, with the decorated career that he's had, he knew to wait just a second, and he is pushing it hard. But there again, Mark got by Chris Hughes, and now that lead went from 0.9 of a second back to 1.39 seconds here. So he knows what he's got to do, and he's pushing that thing to the limit.
He is, and he knows he's getting down on time. So when it comes down to the season, he's going to find that extra motivation to push through.
And it looks like the two of Travis Thompson's just going to wave a different white flag and call it a weekend here as the number 2 machine's going back on the trailer. Got to be frustrated for the young driver out of Humboldt, Texas. But let's stay with our leader, the 35 of Schmierbach. He's tight to the inside out of turn number 4. You see the 26 of Mendana go wide to the outside, about a 4-boat length lead for the 35 of Mark Schmierbach. He's now crossed the start-finish line one more time and down wide out of turn number 1. 1.4 seconds, so he gained 1/100th of a second there in that lap as we are down to just 1 minute, 45 seconds remaining here. The time is ticking, not only for Mendana, but how about the 01 of Jake McKee continuing to hold the 12 of Shelby Love at bay? Can that young driver out of Redlands, California grab his first podium? It looked like that might be a real possibility.
It's looking good for Jake right now. You know, he's got a lapper, Chris Hughes, in between Shelby and himself, so that gives him a little bit of comfort. She's got to go wide to the outside, which doesn't hurt her a whole lot because she's been running that line. Mark Schmierbach, he's in first place. He's protecting the inside line, so that way Jose can't run up the inside, but he's got to deal with back markers again coming up on Marshall.
Absolutely, as they come across the start-finish line one more time. Let's see, that lead grew almost 2 seconds by the 35 of Mark Schmierbach. Now it's a 1.5 seconds, so they're playing cat and mouse. But the real question will be is, can Mendana find a way for the 78 of Marshall Gildermaster to allow him to make one final gasp of move here in this main event in Formula Lights, as we are under 1 minute plus 1 lap remaining here in this 15-minute final in Formula Lights.
It's down to the end, and you know, Mark's thinking right now, look, I got to be a finisher. I've got to finish this thing. I have run hard all year, and I cannot let up now, even though we're in the stages, the closing stages of the race.
Oh,
White
look at that.
flag
Oh, the 26 of Mendana gets up on top of the deck of the 78 of Gildermaster. I don't know what happened down there. Gildermaster left him a lane, but he was just pushing it hard and rode up on the deck of the 78 of Gildermaster in that Molagard composite Formula Light. There's the white flag out. Go fast. Turn left. Just 4 more times for the man out of Greenfield, Wisconsin. And with a win here at the San Jacinto, he will have put a bow on the 2025 Formula One Powerboat Championship Series Formula Lights Championship as he strolls down the back straightaway out of turn number 2. Put pack and air under that Formula Light tunnel hall, 65, 70 miles an hour. Now sweeping it wide out of turn number 3. Off of 3, now out of 4. Ladies and gentlemen, let me hear you put your hands together. Your Formula Light Series champion and your winner here at the Battle on the San Jacinto, number 35, Mr. Mark Schmierbach.
Mark drove a great race, very calculated, brought it home, did what he needed to do. Jose got across the line in second.
And what a run.
I think he just backed off a little bit so that way he could not have to try and pass Marshall again. So congratulations to them and Jake on his first podium.
How about Jake McKee in that 01 machine, the young driver, a long drive from Redlands, California, down here to Southeast Texas. But he's going to bring some hardware back to the great state of California. What a hard run for the 01 of Jake McKee, and to do that all while holding off the hard-charging 12 of Shelby Love, that's got to be a huge confidence booster for that young driver going in to the 2026 season.
Oh, yeah, that'll have him pumped up all winter, that's for sure.
How nice is it to end the season on a good note? Because I can imagine throughout your career you saw both ends of that spectrum, the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. How much easier is it to get back to the grind of the off-season when you finish the season on such a high note?
You know, on one hand, when you win the championship, you know you've got everything in line. You know everything's clicking. But the guy that finishes second or third or fourth, they're hungry for a different reason.
Absolutely.
And I can remember one year that we redid absolutely everything on our team after we lost the championship.
Right, and it gives you that extra motivation just because of that frustration that builds up because you were so close and you just couldn't quite snatch that victory. And I think that's exactly what you're going to see out of the 12 of Shelby Love this offseason going into the 2026 Formula One Powerboat Championship Series calendar.
Well, the checkers go to the victor, and that is Mark Schmierbach, number 35. What a great season. Congratulations to him. And we got the tri-hulls coming up, and we got another championship on the line, and I can't wait for this one.
Absolutely. The 10 of Tanner Rinker and the 13 of Grant Schubert are going to do battle. They're going to spar all over the course. But, ladies and gentlemen, as he has that checkered flag in hand and he makes his way from the start podium, I want to hear you guys give a big round of applause. This man has been the consummate professional. He never seems to have a bad weekend. His worst weekend is a third-place finish on the podium. And what a fantastic run it was here in 2025 as he makes his way down to the south end of the course. He's going to swing it all the way down around the south end of the course and back here in front of the beautiful crowds here at the Baytown Boat Club, the host of the final round of the 2025 Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. Ladies and gentlemen, let me hear you one more time. Your Formula Lights Series champion, as well as your winner here at the final round of the Battle on the San Jacinto for the second time here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. The number 35, Mr. Mark Schmierbach, is your series champion. What a great run it was for the driver from Wisconsin. He's got to feel great about that as they're flagging him in. The 60 of Brandon Bobalik looks like he's got a fair amount of water pouring out of the back of that boat, but they did a pretty good job holding it together. But he was so close to tasting a spot on the podium here at the final round. A great way to wrap up his rookie season, but he got together, sustained some damage, and had to settle for a mid-pack finish here. But a solid rookie season, absolutely in the conversation, and probably the rookie of the year in Formula Lights. I don't make those decisions, so that's just my gut instinct telling me that driver ran so well this season that a rookie of the year is definitely going to be in his future. All right, well, as Tim said, we've got the next championship on the line. Your three-time defending champion, Neil Marsh. He sits in third. He had a rough day yesterday. I don't know if he can gain enough points, but he's going to give it everything he's got. The man coming straight out of Hemlock, Michigan, the man they call the Dude, is going to try to give it everything he can and try to go back to back to back to back, but he's got to get by the 10 of Tanner Rinker, who stepped in to the lead boat in the Texas Tri-Hull Division for Rinker Racing, stepping in for his grandfather Jerry, and he has been running that boat like he stole it from his grandpa ever since he got behind the wheel. 3 wins in 4 races, and he has set himself up for a knockdown drag-out finish here with none other than the series points leader in the 2021 Texas Tri-Hull champion, the number 13 of Grant Schubert. Can he win his second title and cement himself as one of the greatest Tri-Hull drivers in the history of the sport? We're going to find out here in a little bit. But before we do that, let's take a word from our sponsors here, because we couldn't be here without them. All our fantastic series sponsors, and a big shout out to all our sponsors over there on the peninsula, the great folks at TPI Cap, GT Environmental, Merex, IVG Energy, and Incubex. Thank you guys so much. Hope you guys are having a blast out there. We'll be right back with more words after our... All right, it looks like actually they told me to hold off there as we've got our winner, the number 35 of Mark Schmierbach, out on the dock with our pit reporter, Miss Kay Myers. Sending it down to Kay now. Boy, that's got to be one excited Mr. Mark Schmierbach. Kay?
Oh, if you could see the smile on this guy's face. You know, we see you smiling bright all the time, but this is the biggest smile I have seen in the 2025 season. I'm not sure if you knew how much craziness was going on down here in the pit area. There was fuel pumps going out. There was electrical issues. These boats were breaking down, trying to keep up with you, Mark Schmierbach.
Well, great. This is just a great venue. Thank you, Highlands. BB Racing, and John, and the whole F1 organization. This was a lot of fun being here this weekend.
Well, you collected the High Point Championship with the F1 Powerboat Series many a times before. How does this year, 2025 High Point Series champion feel compared to others?
I think for the team, we really needed it. We just had one of those years where Shelby Love, she put it to us. And we worked, we just kept digging, and we kept digging. And we just knew someday, this would all pay off.
Well, you dug deep right into that prop box, picked the perfect prop to get you another checkered flag. Congratulations to Mark Schmierbach, the number 35 Pizza Inn.
Thanks a lot. Enjoy the day. This is great.
All right, my fellow Midwesterner, Mark Schmierbach. What a great run. It's going to feel real good heading back to Wisconsin tomorrow to some of the cooler fall temps that reside that part of the country. But, boy, the heat was on this year for the 35 of Mark Schmierbach. The 12 of Shelby Love gave him everything he could handle. If it weren't for missing a couple qualifying heats due to a tragedy on the Clover construction team and a rough final finish here in 2025, it might be a little bit different. But for now, the 35 of Mark Schmierbach gets to enjoy his victory, and boy, what a fantastic season it was for the 35 of Mark Schmierbach. Now we're going to send things down to the 26 of Jose Mendañez. He's with our pit reporter, Kay Myers, after he was closing in and then got together with a 78 of Marshall Gildermaster, but settled for a solid second-place finish to wrap up his 2025 season. Down to you, Kay.
Jose, you were part of this craziness down here that was having some electrical issues, some minor issues. And what was the minor issues, and how did your dad able to get that figured out for you?
Well, apparently had a broken wire on the solenoid, and he clipped it all back together there. Very fortunate. I didn't want that first restart because we had a very good, long-running, rough water boat there, and we had a chance there at the end to restart. And I gave it all mo, but it was a hell of a win for Mark.
And it was a really close race towards the end of it, and then unfortunately got caught up in back traffic. You got some boat damage. What happened?
I honestly don't know. I was just chasing Mark, and 78 just slammed me back there. But my dad built a damn tough boat. So for the first time out of the box, the way it ran, couldn't be prouder.
Well, you got the first bump out of the way on that brand new boat, and a second-place finish is a very great finish this weekend here at Highlands, Texas. Congratulations, Jose Mendañez.
Thank you.
All right, that was the Tampa Terror, Mr. Jose Mendañez Jr. in that Mike Scott plumbing machine. A great run. Like he said, he got together there at the end with the 78 of Marshall Gildermaster that thwarted a little bit of his late-stage run there, trying to track down our winner, the 35 of Mark Schmierbach. But again, a great way to finish the season, and boy, it really helps him get his mind right and really push in the offseason here in 2025 and into 2026, as he's going to get geared up for a much larger or longer schedule here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series, as he looks to be a full participant in 2026. What a great run it was for him, Tim.
It is. You know, they're gonna have a minimum of a 2-boat team next year, so they're gonna come to all the events, and we're looking forward. Looks like Mason Rinker just got out there, so we should have all our tri-hulls out on the water. So we're getting ready to rock and roll here. You know, the fans can go to F1 Powerboat Championship, and you can vote for your favorite tri-hull driver.
No surprise, so far in the lead last night when I checked, the man they call Mullet out in front by a sizable margin. But I guess when your nickname's Mullet, it's pretty easy to be a fan favorite, especially with that Fu Manchu and those big old Pit Viper glasses.
It's really not even fair.
It really isn't. All right, well, we had a little bit of delay in the Formula Lights, getting them on the water, but the Texas Tri-Hulls, they were itching so bad that they couldn't help it. They had to get out on the water right away. Let's take a look at our starting lineup for the Texas Tri-Hulls here in the main event at the final race of 2025. On the pole, on the inside of row one, exactly where he wanted to be as he's sitting in second in points coming into this weekend. On the inside of row one, the number 10 of Tanner Rinker. On the outside of row one, for his best starting position in Texas Tri-Hull Finals ever in his young career, the 93 of J.B. Jensen. Then it's the man sitting out in front in points coming into this weekend. Inside of row 2, the 13 of Grant Schubert. Outside of row 4, our three-time defending champion Neil Marsh. Then it's the 69 of Cole Waring, the 26 of Briston Sherman, the 99 of Devin Brown, the 42 of Wyatt Zeller, the 1 of Corey Walker, the 12 of Jack Schubert rounds out the top 10. And our final few boats here in this Texas Tri-Hull Final, the 33 of John Ottinger, the 88 of Josh Wells, the 3 of Austin Terry, the 54 of Darren Ware, and then 52 of Mason Rinker wrapping up the field. Hey, Tim, how about we crown a champion here in Formula Lights? Green flag racing, go, go, go. Here we are. Let's crown a champion and a winner here at the Battle on the San Jacinto.
Neil's going to be itching to get to this first turn and try and pull up on these guys right off the bat.
Absolutely. What a great move there early. Look at the 13 of Grant Schubert already getting ahead of the 93 of J.B. Jensen. So we're going to have a battle here. And the real question is, Tim, is there a few enough points gap between the 10 of Rinker and the 13 of Schubert where Rinker can win and still pull ahead of the 13 of Schubert? You got to think that young driver from Richmond, Texas is all about, all I got to do is just stay right next to Tanner Rinker.
This is a head-to-head battle. So Tanner is, he's doing everything he needs to be doing. He is out front, and he's doing everything he can to stay there. Now, Grant, on the other hand, he's got to push it, and he may have looked at some of the points, but without a doubt, he can't let anybody pass him. He might be able to finish one position behind him, but he can't finish 2 or 3 behind him.
Absolutely one. He looks in his rearview mirror and he sees his nemesis, the 17 of Neil Marsh, and Neil's not going to go anywhere. And boy, if Neil couldn't win the championship, I can imagine that Neil Marsh would love nothing more than to get by the 13 of Grant Schubert and give that win to the 10 of Tanner Rinker if he can help it.
J.B. Jensen, he could spoil the whole thing for everybody. He's running 3rd position right now, so this could be his best finish ever.
Absolutely, his best start so far in his young career in Texas Tri-Hull. Oh, no. Whoa, boy, look out, Neil Marsh. He gets hooked on the 93 of J.B. Jensen, almost going over down in turn number 2. Boy, and talk about a 2-horse race. Now it's really a 2-horse race as the 10 of Rinker and the 13 of Schubert start to pull away from the rest of the field.
They're not giving up.
Oh, no, the 17 of Neil Marsh up on the buoys one more time as he's now got a circle around. Him and the 93 of J.B. Jensen got together, and that's got to be frustrating for the 17 of Neil Marsh. This last race of the season just has not gone his way.
Neil's got to come back and make that buoy up, otherwise he's going to receive a 1-lap penalty.
And now he's got to go all the way back and try to stay on the lead lap as he looks in his rearview mirror and he sees that white and black number 10 of Tanner Rinker all over him. Man, that's got to be frustrating. You're sitting in 4th, fighting for 3rd, and then 2 collisions on 1/2 a lap puts you all the way back to 14th position here in this Texas Tri-Hull Final.
That kind of sums up Neil's season. But you know what? He's a true champion, and he keeps fighting, and not going to give up yet.
Oh, absolutely not. He is driving that thing like he stole it, trying to make up as much ground as possible. And now these drivers are going to start to get into back markers, and this is going to be very interesting how the 13 of Grant Schubert and the 10 of Tanner Rinker navigate. Look at Rinker. He is all over the place. He is pushing that thing to the limit, giving it everything he got because he knows it's all on the line. It's do or die right now. The championship is within his grasp. Can he pull it off here in the Texas Tri-Hall class in 2025?
I like what this has done for Tanner Rinker. Now he's got Neil right ahead of him, and Neil's going to be opening a hole, and Tanner might be able to go right up that hole now.
Absolutely.
To pass the other drivers.
Yeah, and it'll keep now, and that's the other question. If they come down and they get tied in points potentially, then it comes down to elapsed time. So that big gap that he's got over the 13 of Grant Schubert could come into play here at the end, and maybe, just maybe, is the factor that gives him the title here for the Series Championship in 2025. Oh, no. Looks like we've had a red flag.
Somebody's over in the far corner.
Oh, no, we got somebody over down at the far end of the race course. Looks like that is the number 10 of Tanner Rinker. Tanner Rinker has gone over halfway through the final here in Texas Tri-Hall as he was trying to go for the championship.
He's out of the boat.
He looks like he's okay, but oh, my Lord, what a turn of events, Tim. Who would have thought that was going to happen? He was pushing it to the limit. He was all over the place, and he ended up on his head down in turn number 2.
Turn 2 has been extremely rough all weekend. He has been able to hold the inside line on that turn, and that's where he had an advantage over Grant, but this is just, oh, man. I feel bad for him.
He has got to be a dejected young man climbing onto the back of our sport rescue boat as they check him out. It looks like his helmet came off as well as he was getting out of the boat.
Well, he took it off. He's out of the boat. He's safe.
Yeah, he's on the rescue boat already, and now they're getting the number 10 boat flipped back over. But wow, you can never expect anything here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. You figured he was in cruise control. He had such a big lead, but he knew he had to try to drive as far away from Grant Schubert just in case it came down to elapsed time. And, boy, that ragged edge that they have to live on, he just took a one-toe step over that line, and it caused him to go over and end up on his head.
Yeah, it does. You're pushing it in the rough water, and if you want to win a race, a championship, sometimes you got to go over the edge. So
hey, Mom and Dad there just frustrated.
Chris and Samantha, everybody's okay, so it'll be a sigh of relief for them.
Absolutely. It goes from that terror to just just the sadness that comes along with being so close to grasping that championship and having it all fall away. Boy, that turn 2 has been now has claimed its second Rinker when they were out in front in a race. In 2022, the same thing happened to Chris Rinker, and now, unfortunately, it's happened to his son here in Texas Tri-Hall. What a frustrating turn of events for Rinker Racing here in Texas Tri-Hall main event here at the final round of 2025.
Well, look, there is the main thing is the driver safety.
Absolutely.
And that's what we want to make sure that he's in good shape, and we're taking every precaution to make sure that's the case. I see him sitting up in there, so that's good.
All right, well, looks like Tanner Rinker is making his way back to the dock. Ladies and gentlemen, love to hear you put your hands together. He's safe. He's okay. He's got to be pretty darn frustrated right now. But the biggest thing is he is out there to fight another day here in Texas Tri-Hall. He gave it everything he had. He put it all on the line. He made just one little bit too much of a miscalculation there. You see his father, Chris, saying, hey, man, it's okay, buddy. You know, we love you. You gave it everything you had. You pushed it to the limit. There's his mom making sure he's okay. Obviously, the last time that number 10 boat went over, things were a little bit different, so I can imagine all those feelings came rushing back to the Rinker Racing clan, but were easily calmed once he was able to get out of that boat quickly and safely. So we're going to be right back with in just a couple of moments with we're going to be back in a couple of moments, hopefully have an opportunity to chat with the 10 of Tanner Rinker, but we'll be right back with more racing action here as we wrap up the Texas Tri-Hall Season Championship and the Battle on the San Jacinto right after this.
JH Performance Boats. Custom-made, classic, shallow water boats built from scratch, offering a direct and personalized experience from start to finish. They provide exceptional service and support, having an unmatched reputation while paying close attention to detail with quality construction, expert knowledge, and outstanding performance. Moto Marketing Group, accelerating brands for over 35 years. From developing some of the most famous boat and race team graphics that look fast to websites that run fast. Moto Marketing Group is your one-stop marketing shop for branding, vehicle wraps, websites, photography, and print design. They do it all professionally for a great price. Check them out online at motomarketinggroup.com.
Racing Communications. They're radios for racing.
Seaway Marine, the Formula Light sponsor here in 2025 on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series, operates out of a 62,000 square foot warehouse that is packed with current OEM parts, aftermarket parts, and vintage hard-to-find parts. They ship over 100,000 packages all over the United States, providing same-day shipping on in-stock orders. Seaway staff is arguably the most knowledgeable in the industry. With decades of experience, Seaway prides itself in excellent customer service. Make Seaway Marine your first call or text for all your marine part needs. 425-412-4006 or online at seawaymarine.com. Seabold Sports, world champion powerboat racing since 1939. Find more on the legendary Seabold family at seaboldsports.com.
From an early age, we race. It's part of who we are. It's in our DNA. For some, the need to keep pushing fuels our lives. At VP Racing, we pour everything we have into creating the industry's best products. For those who put it all on the line, whether it's the track or the trail or wherever you race, they say you can't win them all, but you can sure as hell try. VP Racing, win every race.
B&B Racing, one of the world's premier Formula Light powerboat racing teams and one of the most dominant forces on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series Formula Lights class. GT Environmental Finance is an experienced environmental market brokerage company specializing in transaction and advisory services in the field of sustainable development. Incubex, with a unique mission to develop and improve new and existing environmental commodities with their exchange and technology partners. These products include global, environmental, reinsurance, and weather-related commodities. IVG Energy, an industry-leading brokerage specializing in liquid petroleum-based commodities, renewables, environmental products, and energy. From their headquarters in Houston, Texas, to and from locations around the world, they deliver quality results for their clients with forthright honesty, pioneering vision, and a get-the-job-done tenacity. Merix is a diversified global financial services platform providing essential liquidity market access and infrastructure services to clients in the energy, commodities, and financial markets. With more than 40 offices across all major exchanges and technology-powered data and advisory services, Merix is your essential partner. TP ICAP Group is a world-leading liquidity and data solutions specialist. They connect clients to liquidity seamlessly and responsibly across financial and commodity markets globally. Through a full range of brokering protocols, they also provide clients with the data and analytics they need to do business better.
All right, race fans, welcome back. Boy, the carnage is all over the map here in Texas Tri-Hall. You saw the 17 of Neil Marsh get together with the 93 of J.B. Jensen, and they're down here feverishly working on getting the bolts bolted back into the floor of his roll cage on his Texas Tri-Hall. He got hit with so much force by the 17 of Neil Marsh that it sheared the bolts right out of the floor of his Texas Tri-Hall, and he's hopefully trying to get it back together, because without that